issuing indictments to political opponents with even calling
How,
out the prosecutor they want?
how would you know? Those are private conversations.
Gotcha.
How
So
would
the
you
answer
know
to your question
whether
was
or not
no.
that's
The answer to your
occurred?
question was no. I asked if there's any evidence of
No,
it.
you're wrong.
There is no
the
evidence
answer
of any of
yes.
this.
100% there is.
What's the evidence?
Here's one of the things I'm about to tell you.
He's about to not tell us, by the way. Spoiler alert. Go ahead.
No. The president has directed their DOJ to focus on one area of law or another that they think is particularly important.
Focus on one area of law? Excuse me, that's not what we're talking about. I mentioned that Trump specifically called for indictments for two specific individuals who are political opponents, and he named the prosecutor that he wanted to lead. So who else has done this? So who did this? Did Obama do this? Did Biden do this? Give me the example. Everybody does it. Who does it? Give me an example.
Yeah,
no example. The IRS bullshit. He has no arguments. You have nothing for this. At least, can you at least concede you have no evidence of this?
You're only proving my point.
That's why. That's why.
No, because the point is that if the president was the unitary controller of the attorney general, the president would just tell the attorney general, don't investigate this. Do you see how easy that is? You see how stupid your theory is? If this is so commonplace, then just show me one other time it's happened. It should be really easy. If presidents do this all the time, what other president has directed his attorney general? Give me one example. Don't just say it happens all the time. Give me an example.
Would you like
War on
an answer?
War
on drugs? That's not an answer. Are we just saying random words together?
Stop. Brinka, do you have an answer to his question?
It's irrelevant whether it's ordinary, if it's within the president's authority, and it is. He's allowed to do unordinary things.
Why not just say that? Just say that. It's extraordinary. It's never happened. Yeah, that's great. Just open with that next time instead of saying everybody does it. Not everybody does it. Trump is the most egregious abuser of the DOJ.
Because you won't stop talking.
You say wrong shit. I can't help it.
Describing.
Yes, we have a video of them committing sedition.
On video.
Oh, okay, wait. So just to be clear. Okay, so Donald Trump retweeting things saying that these people should be tried and executed, that in and of itself is totally fine, but a bunch of people going on video saying you shouldn't follow unlawful orders, which is literally part of the military code, that's seditious behavior?
Yes, it's sedition in the broader political context.
It's literally not. It's absolutely not. So you're completely destroyed on that. You've been mogged completely out of existence. What a stupid... How could you possibly think that these people committed seditious conspiracy? But Donald Trump, who's literally retweeting people saying they should be... So now in the future, just to be clear, anytime I say somebody should be killed, I should just say first, he should be tried for a crime and killed first. And then we're safe. It's a genius idea. Oh my God.
Destiny.
Stop, please.
Possible.
They can't name one.
Okay.
The murder of the Venezuelan people after the boats, killing people after the boats already been destroyed. That's a war crime and it's illegal in the United States. You can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
No, I'll let Destiny go. I just do want to say, however, that I guess I misunderstood what the nature of the format would be here. I'm unlikely to stay for 2 hours to get yelled at by Destiny. That's not a good use of my time. So if we could maybe have questions and answers and people have an opportunity to exchange views and positions, we don't have to agree, but we can inform the audience that way. Getting yelled at by Destiny for 2 hours isn't informing anybody.
I'll be nicer.
We'll probably get further if you actually let people respond, and rather than just trying to cut them down before they finish, you actually just let them respond.
It would be nice if they were responsive to my questions. That'd be nice. We'd probably get somewhere faster.
We got it. Okay.
And toned down rhetoric, or has he only ever made it worse in the last year?
He's allowed to engage in rhetoric. He's a politician. He has no
That's not
obligation
what
I
didn't.
He's asking if he has.
Wait, I asked if he has. I thought you were here to answer my questions, not say whether or not it was okay what Trump did.
He's given his answer.
I don't work for you, Soy Pill. I don't have to answer questions to your satisfaction.
Yeah, well, you also
I will
have a
answer
goldfish memory.
Sorry.
So 3 seconds after I ask my question,
I'm going to have to start muting people.
I'm going to bow out if this is. I'm not spending 2 hours of my night like this. State your question, Soy Pill, and I will provide the answer I believe is appropriate for me. Go ahead.
Okay. Has Donald Trump ever turned down the rhetoric, or has he only ever inflated it and made it worse?
I think the questions are relevant. Okay, the question's irrelevant because Donald Trump has no obligation to turn down the rhetoric.
Cool. So you're not going to answer my question. So you can stop talking now. You can bow out now if you're not going to respond to anything I say.
I'm out.
I muted him.
Right, bye. See ya, dude. You're fucking useless, dude.
I muted, I guess. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And today, we're going to be discussing the recent shooting and killing of at least one National Guard member in Washington, D.C. So on November 26, 2025, near Farragut West Metro Station in Washington, D.C., there was a shooting of 2 National Guard members, Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolfe. Sarah Beckstrom has since died from her wounds, and Sergeant Andrew Wolfe is still, as far as I can tell, in critical condition. The suspect is in custody. He is an Afghan national, Rahmanullah Lakanwal. Excuse my pronunciations. I'm very bad at foreign names. There has been much discussion about why this happened and who is to blame. Tonight's prompt is Trump responsible for the shooting of these 2 National Guard? Why or why not? And we've got some great guests to talk about it. I appreciate you all for coming, and apologies for the little tech support at the beginning, but we have to do what we got to do. I want to give the mic first to Destiny, and we'll just kind of go around, introduce ourselves, give us opening thoughts and what we have to say. Go ahead, Destiny. Open us up.
Okay, so I don't know if I would say 100% that Trump is fully responsible, but if anybody is responsible, he's pushed it basically as close to the line as possible. I think that Trump has engaged in behavior that has made all of the National Guards of every state and all of the federal police to have the most antagonistic relationship possible with all of the different states, or in D.C., just the territory of Washington, D.C. So I think that Trump has engaged in behavior that has increased the danger for all of the people that are deployed. I think that every single time a bad thing happens, I think that he tries to capitalize on it with some kind of policy. I would argue that Trump has been waiting for and loves these types of moments, and he's waiting for more moments like these to happen so that he can continue to expand on his executive power. Every time it does, we saw him jump on this as soon as these 2 National Guardsmen were shot. I think he deployed another 500 to D.C. And yeah, I just think that Donald Trump is engaged on a war path where he wants to invite as much self-destruction as possible so that it gives him more excuses basically to leverage and expand his executive power and authority.
Okay, we'll get into it as we go. Next up, Soy Pill. What you got?
Yeah, pretty much what Destiny said. I would add that Trump, is inflaming all of the tensions by, illegally putting the National Guard into all of these places. He's violating posse comitatus. He's going against the wishes of various governors and even the National Guard themselves, who say they don't need to be there and don't want to be there. Then essentially putting the blame on him by putting people in places they don't need to be and inflaming the tensions so that when violent things happen, he can justify doing it more, grabbing more executive power. It is very clearly at least his fault insofar as this never should have happened and wouldn't be happening under a Kamala presidency. Obviously, Donald Trump didn't shoot these people, but also by the Trump magatard standard of Trump, the Biden administration letting all these illegals in and then saying, oh, well, it's his fault for letting them in. Trump's administration granted this person asylum, so I'm also going to give him blame for that.
Okay, thank you for being here. I'm sure we'll get into it. Good logic.
Yeah, I'm Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Logic. I'm a New York attorney converted into a podcaster, and the nonsense that the left is trying to... when I first heard the topic discussion was Trump is to blame for the shooting of the National Guard, I actually laughed out loud that they could try to spin this, that what it starts with is a premise that everything Trump is looking to do is motivated by evil. This is just an assumption that they build into whatever he says or does, that his objective is to just basically harm as many people as possible. And then they take a situation that they'll create a situation that is as volatile as possible and ratchet it up, going back to Biden bringing in ridiculous numbers of millions of illegal aliens, letting them stream across our borders, then trying to defend the criminal aliens. He's not even trying to get rid of your run-of-the-mill illegal aliens. He's trying to get rid of the criminals and screaming and standing in front of ICE and trying to stand in front of federal officers doing performing their duty. And then they turn around and say, well, this is all Trump's fault, while the left is continually ratcheting up the violence, ratcheting up just how they want their side to be as angry as possible. You'll hear them say, go out there, march, go out there, march. You'll never hear the left say, make sure you do it peacefully. You'll never hear that at all. And then when there's this terrible incident, which I assume that the people who are arguing against me would admit at least that this is a tragedy, that Sarah Beckstrom was shot. Another person, I think, is still in critical condition when I last heard. So that I think they would admit that this is a tragedy. Then they turn around and they say it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault because he's trying to enforce the law, which is just preposterous. But I look forward to getting into their legal arguments so we can break this down for all of you.
Okay, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Next up, Andrew Branca. Is that how you say your last name? I apologize.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. So, of course, I'm an attorney. I'm probably best known for the law of self-defense. I'm an expert, probably the preeminent expert in the nation on use of force law, and I do a lot of legal and political commentary. I think there's no rational view in which Trump has any legal responsibility for what happened here. We have an Afghan assassin who walked up to a woman with a revolver in his hand and shot her through the chest. There's only one person who caused that death. That's the Afghan rebel. We can engage in all kinds of estrogenic butterfly effects, and Trump is the bad daddy, so everything that happens that's bad is Trump's fault. But Trump has executive authority under Article 2. He's the democratically elected president. He's allowed to do things, including trying to ensure the safety of the American populace in its city. And if bad things happen because he's doing things he's allowed to do, it's the bad people who made that happen.
Okay, and with that, let's kind of get into it as we go. I guess I'd start by reading a tweet from Destiny here, and I'm curious if you stand by this position, sir, and then we can just kind of get into the open discussion. You said on 9/15 on November 26th, you wrote as follows: they weren't protecting D.C. They couldn't even make arrests. They were sent there to die by real Donald Trump and his cronies, so they could rile up the base to distract them from the monumental failing of every single part of this administration. Is that your current position, sir?
Yes, I think that Trump is trying intentionally to inflame tensions as much as possible so that he can expand his executive power as much as possible. One thing that you're going to hear over and over again in this debate, it's already happened in the opening statements, is remember, every single time a conservative criticizes a Democrat, it's about what they should do, what their moral obligation is, and what a good leader would do to guide the country. But whenever they talk about Trump or the conservatives, it's always what is the outer perimeter of legal actions that he is theoretically allowed to take. There's no question of whether or not his leadership is moral or what his end game is on anything, although he would fail in the legal realm as he has been over and over again, and he would fail on these other two as well. But like the question is why? So for instance, earlier you talked about leftists celebrating violence. Why is Donald Trump incapable of saying that the entire country needs to be less violent? Why is he incapable of saying anything that equally criticizes his side?
See, this is
open discussion. So.
Right, and this is what the left this is what you on the left tend to do. It's you're continually ratcheting up the violence, and then you're looking for an all sides type of thing. And to harken back, and I don't want to get into the whole Black Lives Matter thing, but when we look back at 2020, when we saw the whole Black Lives Matter issue rise up, it was considered an affront for people and offensive for people to say all lives matter. Now, I think that if you actually step back from a practical perspective, you would agree that all lives matter. But given the context, the idea of saying all lives matter in that context was deemed offensive because there was some perceived unique, terrible position for the Black community. And it was as if you were disparaging their genuine plight by just trying to make it a general concern. So when you come here, Destiny, and you say, why can't he just say that all sides need to dial it back when there's been just bludgeoning from one side against the other, it just sort of rings as if you're trying to just whitewash. They're like, oh yeah, both sides are bad, when that's just not reality.
Sure.
It's not reality.
Two really quick and easy questions. Did Joe Biden condemn the BLM violence?
I wasn't looking.
The answer. Okay, if you don't know, that's fine. The answer is yes. That's fine. No, wait. Well, I know you don't care because you don't care to make an impression. So the answer is yes. Number one, and number two, did Donald Trump pardon every single January 6th protester?
We can't.
How
No one
is
can
that
hear each
relevant?
other. Just real
Don't
quick.
deflect
Just
to
real
something
quick.
irrelevant.
I'm not deflecting. You brought up BLM. You brought up
You brought up
BLM.
BLM, dude.
No, I did bring up BLM, but I brought it up to make a point.
Yeah, your point is wrong. That's the point I'm making. That your point is stupid.
No, the point that I'm making is in certain situations, when you try and just deflect to saying, let's just make this a general message, it's ignoring the actual problem. You're trying to purposefully ignore the actual problem. In 2020, you wanted to. The left was saying that the other side is ignoring the problem by trying to say all lives matter. And what I'm saying is you're ignoring
I'm not
the
asking that
problem.
question. It was a super easy question. Did Biden condemn the BLM riots? Did Biden condemn the violence?
I have no idea. He wasn't empowered during the BLM riots.
He was running for election because he was running for election.
Like the face of the Democratic Party.
You literally can't even answer. You don't even know. Why even bring up BLM? If you don't know anything was going on at the time, then just don't bring it up. That was the first question. So the answer is yes. You can go research it later. The second question is: did Donald Trump pardon every single J6 protester? Did he?
Gang, both of you, please. We can't hear when you guys are talking over each other, so I'd ask that again, you wait for the other person to finish their statement, then you can respond, and I'll try to make sure that you aren't interrupted during your response, and that's what we're
Because
going to
Logic, to be clear, in your intro, you did
just real
say-
quick, Soy Pill.
Yeah?
Let Logic finish his statement, and then you can jump in, and Andrew seems to want in as well. So this will
No, I'm fine. I mean, I always
what
have
I'm
stuff
saying
to say,
is
but I'll let you guys go. It's okay.
I'll tag you in soon, brother.
He's about
my
to yap
point-
and not answer either of those questions, by the way.
No, my point is that you're trying to deflect into something that's relatively meaningless as to whether or not he actually condemned it. Who cares? How is that relevant to the point I was making? The only point I was
Because
making
you said that
is
leftists were trying to ratchet up the violence. What do you mean? How is it relevant? It speaks directly to the issue. Hold on, just one more. I'm going to do this one more time, and then if he doesn't answer, that's fine. So the first question is: did Biden condemn the BLM rights? The answer is yes.
I have
did
no
Donald
idea.
Trump? That's fine. That's fine. Don't yap again. I just answer my second question. Answer my
asked me
second
a question. I answered it. I mean, you're answering a question for me, and you asked me a question, which I assume is a sincere question, and then you try to say yes, he did. So I say, when did he?
He did it on August 31st, 2020. Look up YouTube Global News. There's a video titled Joe Biden Condemns Violence and Ongoing U.S. Protests. There you go. Look it up in your own time. Number one. The second question is, did Donald Trump pardon every single J6 protester / rioter?
100%.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Right. So the reason this isn't irrelevant, God Logic, is because we're talking about how Trump has made the conditions for this violence to happen. Yeah, he didn't pick up the gun and shoot these National Guard members, but he's drumming up the rhetoric. And when you say, hey, the left never says be peaceful, Destiny brings up an example of Joe Biden explicitly doing that, and then we point out that Trump is refusing to condemn the right and is actually calling for the deaths of people in his own government, that this is part of the rhetoric that is causing these National Guard people to be shot. And you say, well, all lives matter. Oh, I'm deflecting to BLM. It's got to be a generalized statement. No, we're saying he needs to say turn down the rhetoric, and he's doing the opposite. He's inflaming everyone. He's getting people killed. That's where the blame comes from.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate the promotion from good logic to God Logic, but it's just good logic. And second, that's okay. No, that's okay. I just want to make sure we know what we're talking to here. But the point that you're trying to make, as far as him escalating, you have to sort of have to step back for a second and ask yourself, what exactly is he supposed to be dialing back from the right? You're saying that the left is that after there's violence that happens, the left tries to dial it back. What I'm saying to you is, what violence from the right are you even saying that he should be dialing back? You're trying to sit here and say that he should be telling people on the right,
should hang members of our government. Well, you're asking me a question.
No,
when he
but
says we should hang members of our government, yeah.
Through trial. Through trial. There's a very big difference between saying, hey, these people need to be tried for some very serious crimes that I believe they committed.
And murdered, yeah.
Because he believes they committed them.
Capital punishment is not murder.
Excuse me, sorry.
When you're the head of the executive and you're saying that your political opposition needs to be investigated, when we've already seen him fabricate indictments, calling out the specific
people can
bullshit.
Be investigated.
Yeah,
Trump
that's fine. But the president of the United States isn't ordinarily. Sorry, I know you are pretending to be a lawyer, okay? But generally speaking, the president of the United States does not give direct instruction to the head of the Department of Justice to issue indictments. That's why the last two cases.
To do that. They work for him.
Oh, that's great. Well, do they work for him though? Because it seems like she wasn't even legally appointed, was she? Isn't Lizzie Halligan out now? Didn't all that get tossed now? It seems like it's all gone now, right? Huh? All right, looks like that wasn't very legal, huh? And now all of our cases are being looked at. So no, that wasn't the case.
Also,
sorry.
Just real quick, Joe. No one can hear you on your channel.
So defensive.
Okay.
Well,
Andrew,
rule of law matters to some of us, so it's kind of annoying to see the president of the United States so flagrantly abuse it.
Okay, first of all, the Department of Justice works for the president. He can tell them what to do. They're part of the executive branch. Second of all, capital punishment is not murder. It's state-sanctioned. People get a trial. They get lawyers. They get juries. And sedition was made a capital offense by Congress, not by Trump. Congress created that law. Third of all violence is not bad. Why do you suggest that all the violence should be tamped down? Violence is not inherently bad. Violence in a good person is good.
But Gen 6 violence is bad.
Wait, just curious. When we say the president,
let him finish. Let Andrew finish.
When we say the
also Andrew, you're really low. Can you turn yourself up? Your volume's
when we say the president can give direction to the DOJ, is there any equivalent moment in the last 50 to 100 years of U.S. history where the president of the United States is directing his attorney general on who to prosecute, directing them on issuing indictments to political opponents, with even calling the prosecutor?
How would you know? Those are private conversations.
Gotcha. So the answer to your question was no. The answer to your question was no. I asked if there's any evidence of it.
No, you're wrong.
There is no evidence of any of this.
100% there is.
What's the evidence?
Here's one of the things I'm about to tell you.
He's about to not tell us, by the way. Spoiler alert. Go ahead.
No, I'll tell you right now. The role of the DOJ is to be manifesting the will of the executive. This is one of the things that during the
There's a
confirmation
unitary executive theory. It's such bullshit. You guys don't even believe in this shit. You would lose your fucking mind if a Democrat did this. It's such bullshit. Yeah, because this is a child's. You don't even believe in this. It's so retarded.
You're terrified of actually hearing an answer. So you have to cut me off when you see I'm making a point that actually just completely blows up.
Can I just short circuit it and explain it like half the time it's going to take you to stumble through it?
Hold on.
I don't want you to short circuit because you do not know. It's not unitary executive theory. It is the sole purpose of the DOJ is to manifest the will. They are part of the executive branch.
Manifest the will of who?
Branch, of the executive.
Of the president?
Of the president
then why do special counsels exist? Why do special counsels exist?
Special counsels exist for when there's a conflict of interest.
Why would that matter if they're only there? Wait, how could there be a conflict of interest if they only exist there to manifest the will of the president?
You're proving
because
my point.
The president can have a conflict of interest.
Yes,
how can he conflict with interest with his own self, with his own Department of Justice?
Oh my God. Listen. Slow down for a second. Slow down, because I don't think you just understand basic civics about how our government
basic civics, but you won't give me an example of anybody doing what Trump did. Go ahead.
Every single president has directed their DOJ to focus on one area of law or another that they think is particularly important.
Focus on one area of law? Excuse me, that's not what we're talking about. I mentioned that Trump specifically called for indictments for two specific individuals who were political opponents, and he named the prosecutor that he wanted to lead. So who else has done this? So who did this? Did Obama do this? Did Biden do this? Give me the example. Everybody does it. Who does it? Give me an example.
First and foremost, Obama did it far worse. Give
me an example. Who did he target?
No, Obama did it far more in a nefarious way because what he did is he actually weaponized all of his different executive agencies.
No example. The IRS bullshit. He has no arguments. You have nothing for this. At least, can you at least concede you have no evidence of this?
Just real quick, just housekeeping here. Gang, if you keep interrupting, we can't understand what they're trying to say. So
I'm trying to make a point, and you just also say he's saying nothing. He's saying nothing.
And then you can respond, I promise.
Apparently, I'm saying so much nothing.
Let him finish, please.
Apparently, I'm saying so much nothing, you need to cut me off in the middle. The point is that he is, as the head of the executive, this is an executive agency. That is what the DOJ is. When you get Adam Schiff up there, and he's questioning Pam Bondi, saying, I'm afraid you're going to be Trump's man. It's for a woman. The point is, she's supposed to be.
No, they're not. That's just not true. You're lying. You're fucking lying. That's not true.
Merrick Garland was 100% Biden's man. That's exactly.
Then why was a special prosecutor appointed to investigate Biden's documents?
Because when you have, you're only proving my point.
That's why. That's why.
No, because the point is that if the president was the unitary controller of the attorney general, the president would tell the attorney general, "Don't investigate this." You see how easy that is? You see how stupid your theory is?
Destiny, think for a second. If it was already an independent agency, there could not be a conflict of interest between the DOJ and the president. It's because the DOJ is an extension of the president that you need to have some internal affairs type of agency, which we call special counsel or special prosecutor, to go after someone who's in the president's orbit. That's why you
Why wouldn't the president just tell them, don't do that investigation? Why wouldn't the president say just don't? Why wouldn't the president say don't investigate that?
I'm almost done. Because of the fact that the DOJ is viewed as an extension of the president, when there's something around the president that might be illegal, that's why you need a third-party special prosecutor to come in. That's what you need. It's the proof that they're actually defaulting, that they are part of the executive agency, part of the will of the president. In fact, that's the only way we, the people, have any power over them is through the president directing them. That's how we actually have representation in who's being prosecuted. Now, go ahead with your question.
Sure. So two things. So just real quick. So one, there's a difference between having a legal agenda and directing somebody to prosecute particular political opponents. You acknowledge that, right?
Why? No. Why? Why would that be? Why is that different?
Just let me, I'm sorry, hold on, let me just restate that. I'm not going to say it. If you want to make yourself sound that stupid, that's fine. You do not recognize a difference or a distinction between a president saying, I would like to focus more on this kind of crime, versus the president saying, these two opponents of mine, political opponents from two administrations ago, I want you to prosecute them. If you say there's no distinction.
Are there grounds for prosecution?
You wouldn't know until you do the investigation. Isn't that kind of part of what the DOJ does? Number one. Number two. Why do you keep laughing? You're not making a point.
Investigative agency. The DOJ
really?
Is
what
not
does the FBI do? How does the DOJ get evidence for an indictment to go to a grand
jury? It's a different
agency. It's under the DOJ. It's literally a subsidiary of the DOJ. What are you talking about? Okay, stop. The question was, if this is so ordinary, if this is so commonplace, then just show me one other time it's happened. It should be really easy. If presidents do this all the time, what other president has directed his attorney general? Give me one example. Don't just say it happens all the time. Give me an example.
Would you like
War
me
on
to
drugs.
answer?
War
on drugs? That's not an answer. Are we just saying random words together?
Stop, Brinka. Do you have an answer to his question?
It's irrelevant whether it's
Thank
ordinary, if it's within the president's authority, and it is. He's allowed to do
Cool.
unordinary things.
Why not just say that?
just
Just
back
say
to the
that. It's
whole thing where
extraordinary. It's never
just
happened.
said it.
Yeah, that's great. Just open with that
just
next time
said
instead
it.
of saying everybody does it. Not everybody does it. Trump is the most
Can't open
egregious
with anything
abuser of the DOJ.
because you won't stop talking.
Well, you say wrong shit. I can't help it.
Describing this as vaguely as possible. It's, hey, this is the president's purview to do this thing and direct these departments. And we're saying, hey, when
I'll
has
be
the
as
president
specific
ever
as you want me to
called
be.
for the killing of people within his government in this certain way? Not, hey, he's going and saying maybe we could kill American citizens if it helps the war on drugs, or hey, we need to kill people
Obama
at the
killed
border.
American
Specifically-
citizens. He didn't just
specifically
call for it, he
calling
did it.
for-
Obama
yeah,
went
I
to
know
Eric
that
Holder and
Obama
he
did
asked his
a
DOJ
drone
and his office
strike.
of legal counsel. He had the authority to do it. He didn't direct them. That's the difference between Obama
Why
and
does
Trump.
his DOJ give him
Bar
authority?
literally.
How does his
bar
DOJ
resi-
give him authority?
He went to
That's
them for
like
the legal
complaining
memo.
to the
What do you mean? The
secretary.
whole Eric Holder memo literally details this. He went to them to
That's
find out
like
if he felt he had the authority to
That's
even
like-
act this way. There's a difference between him and Trump
president
firing
is
every
not
attorney general that he
subordinate to
doesn't
the
agree
Department
with.
of Justice. The president is not subordinate to
Steve?
the Department of
The
Justice.
president
that's
is
like-
subordinate to the
Steve.
Constitution of the United States, and he's supposed to act in a way that comports with what the law is. So the
Yes.
president might consult
Yes.
his Department of Justice
Yes.
instead of like Donald Trump, who only confers
his-
with his personal attorneys.
his
And instead of
DOJ
breaking every law and hoping to win in
He can
court,
still
Obama
do
tried
it.
to follow the law ahead of time, which is what you're supposed to do. The law is there to check your behavior before you do. It's not there as a consequence for you to intentionally break it over and over again.
Okay,
Can I
we
ask
gotta
a
let
question?
the other side respond without
Sorry.
interruption, just for a little bit. Okay, just go ahead, Bronca, please. You can respond.
If it's
I'll try to
okay
make
for
sure you aren't
Obama,
interrupted. Go ahead.
if it's okay for Obama to actually kill American citizens, why would it be inappropriate for Trump to advocate killing American citizens without actually doing it?
Because Obama was exercising his powers as the head of the military, as the commander in chief. As the commander in chief, number one, and number two, it was in a theater of war where we already had a pre-existing authorization for the use of military force. In order for we already have a broad AUMF that has been not challenged by any prior president to operate in the Middle East. Now, unless I'm not aware of this, were any of the people that Donald Trump said should be tried for seditious conspiracy or whatever, were any of these people part of fucking Al Qaeda or some terrorist outfit that I'm just not aware of that Trump didn't publicize information about?
Sedition doesn't require that.
Oh, do we have any evidence of them committing sedition?
Yes, we have a
saw
video
it.
of them committing
It was on
sedition.
video.
Yes.
Oh, okay, wait.
They
So
do
just to be
illegal
clear,
things.
It was on video.
okay, so Donald Trump retweeting things saying that these people should be tried and executed, that in and of itself is totally fine, but a bunch of people going on video saying you shouldn't follow unlawful orders, which is literally part of the military code, that's seditious behavior?
Yes, it's sedition in the broader political context.
It's
Sure.
literally
Anyway,
not. It's
jury-
absolutely
a jury
not. So
will
you're
decide.
completely
One-
destroyed
No,
on
of
that.
course
You've
it
been
is.
mogged
Of course
completely
it
out of
is.
existence. What a stupid.
Well,
How
you
could you
could-
possibly think that these
No.
people committed seditious conspiracy?
Yeah,
But Donald Trump,
they
who's
did.
literally retweeting people saying
100%.
they should be.
I'm-
So now in the future, just to be
hold on,
clear,
let them make the
anytime I say
argument.
somebody should be killed, I should just say first, oh, he should be tried for a crime and killed first. And then we're safe. Oh, it's a genius idea. Oh my God.
Destiny.
Hold on,
Destiny.
Stop, please. I want to hear the argument. So the argument about the sedition. Why is it sedition? Why is them going on to and making an ad saying you should disobey unlawful orders? How is that sedition? Can you make the argument?
That would not be seditious. It's
The trouble
seditious
is,
in the
it's not just that. It's the context. It's the context in which they're saying that, and it's simultaneously they're saying, by the way, everything Trump's doing is unlawful. They're saying
Did they say that in that video?
They
at
said
all,
that in
or
that
are you
video?
Kind of implying that.
It doesn't have to
They
be.
said
in
we
one
say we
video.
understand you're
Sedition doesn't-
under intense pressure.
Okay,
So, yeah, they're under
when
intense
these
pressure.
people
Yeah.
put out a thing, you have to read between the lines and imply what they're saying.
Yep.
But when
No,
Trump
you
comes
don't
out
have to
saying,
imply what you're
"Kill
saying."
Remember what I
these
said.
members of my
Liberals
government,"
need to
no,
act
that's totally
moral
fine.
and above board on everything, but Donald Trump is only constrained by the
If
outer
they
perimeter
weren't
of our
saying it-
delusional interpretation of law. Amazing.
No. When they go out there, and weeks earlier, Slotkin is going out there saying he's issuing illegal orders, and then she comes out here. Okay,
came out for
okay,
like
okay.
this now.
So you're only making.
Did she
you're
say
only making-
every single thing he does is legal?
soy pill? What you're
not
doing
required.
is you're arguing against yourself. You don't even
Just real
realize.
quick,
You don't
Andrew,
even realize when
your
you make a
mic
point
keeps
against
getting
yourself.
lower as you go. I don't know if you're turning it down, but it was good for a minute, and then
Yeah.
it's gone lower.
Soy pill, you're actually arguing against yourself, because when you have these senators and these congressmen and women who go out there and say he's issuing illegal orders, and then they say if an illegal order is issued, you're honor bound on the Constitution to disobey it. The only possible purpose for making that is to basically plant the seed in the minds of military that every time they have an order, they should sit there and try calculate, is this constitutional? Do I think it's constitutional? When you try to actually put this into a practical sense, rather than applying it to an individual scenario.
Were both those statements true? Were both the statements true? Wasn't Trump issuing illegal orders?
No, he wasn't.
Oh,
no, he wasn't.
So when it was reported to murder the people in the Venezuelan boats, even when they blew the boats up, that's not an illegal order?
Not murder. Not murder.
What is it then? For a country that we're not at war with, what would you consider that?
Wait.
It's a lawful killing.
How is it a lawful killing? What is the law? Self-defense lawyer, you said? What is the... Sorry, my God, go.
We can't let them move on from this because Flawed Logic just said there is no other possible explanation.
Wait, which name did I get now?
Flawed Logic? What was it?
You called him Chud Logic. He's good logic. I promise you. It's not God Logic. It's not Chud Logic.
The only explanation for Slotkin saying this is to plant the seed of doubt and make them question every order. Why is it in the military training to say you shouldn't obey illegal orders? Is it to make every single military person like question every single order and like, oh, we want to have a military that's insubordinate? Or is it because you aren't allowed to follow illegal orders and you?
It's the very same people. That's a good question. It's a fair question, Soy Pill. And I'll tell you, it's the very same people and those in their camp who are continually saying there's one illegal order after another where they've continually been proven wrong. They've basically been claiming this is illegal, that's illegal.
You just said
I will answer your question.
No,
so when she's going out there and saying,
at all.
No, because in the military, when they're being trained, they're not being trained, hey, you're going to be getting a whole bunch of illegal orders. So make sure that you only follow constitutional orders. They don't get that in their training. They don't get that warm up. When you're getting as a follow up, as a follow through to, there's all sorts of unconstitutional orders. And hey, by the way, military, when you get a constitutional order, you better make sure you don't follow it. And there's also even a veiled threat in there. The veiled threat is that when we come back into power, if we decide to determine those are unconstitutional, we're going to prosecute you military members for following these orders. And you're not going to be able to say, and we've even heard Schumer go out there, and we've heard others say that, hey, you're not going to be able to say we were following orders. Remember the Nuremberg trials? That's what the left has been saying right now. So in this entire context, the only reason to do it is to weaken the military and have our military members basically question every single order rather than relying on the default that our military has had for the last 250 years that, hey, when I get an order, it's constitutional.
Okay, so you keep saying only reason. Could it be possible? Is there not a world that exists in which Donald Trump has done something illegal and people want the people not to follow that order? Is that possible?
They can't name one.
Okay.
The murder of the Venezuelan people after the boats, killing people after the boats already been destroyed. That's a war crime and it's illegal in the United States. You can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Great arguments. Yes, you can.
So wait,
no, you
no
can't.
wait. So you think?
Well, what do we want? I can appeal to the Rome
here.
Statute. I know we're not party to the ICC. I can appeal to international customary humanitarian law. You're not allowed to kill people that are no longer enemy combatants. Like what for military law, you're not allowed to kill people that have already surrendered. White flag laws and all of these things are part of our military code of conduct. So what are you citing? What do you think that you're allowed to kill people who aren't able to participate in combat anymore? What are you citing to? What do you think?
Surrendered.
What?
They weren't surrendered.
How do you even know they were shooting at them from fucking drones?
Okay, just real quick.
They weren't surrendered. They weren't taken into custody.
Before we go on,
That taken into custody is not the same as surrendered.
Hold on, stop, please. In the DoD's Law of War Manual, and this was updated in July 2023, and I'm going to just read from this directly. This can give some context to the audience. Under Section 5.9, persons placed hors de combat. Persons, including combatants, placed hors de combat may not be made the object of attack. Persons placed hors de combat include the following categories of persons, provided they abstain from any hostile act and do not attempt to escape. 1. Persons in the power of an adverse party. 2. Persons not yet in custody who have surrendered. 3. Persons who have been rendered unconscious or otherwise incapacitated by wounds, sickness, or shipwreck. And 4. Persons parachuting from aircraft in distress. So, if the Washington Post report is correct, Andrew, could you give us the legal reasoning that, in your opinion, in your argument, why those shipwrecked narco guys were a legal target?
Well, they weren't shipwrecked. They were blown up.
What do you think shipwrecked means?
Shipwrecked means a ship wrecks on a reef.
No, that's not what it means. It means your ship has been rendered incapacitated. It could have been because it got wrecked, or it could have been it got blown up. The reality is that the people on the ship, even if they were enemy combatants, of which we have no proof of, by the way, even if they were, as soon as their ship has been rendered unable to perform any combat functions, and the people in the water They have obtained.
Where does it say that?
Say why?
No.
You're a lawyer.
So,
What? Hey, I'm curious. Wait. No. Inform us. You're a lawyer. When there are words that appear legally and there are statutes, how would you figure out? How would you figure out what it actually means? What would you do? What would you look up?
Are you allowed to shoot enemy soldiers who are running away?
Yes.
Okay. So why is this any different?
Because they're shipwrecked. They don't have the opportunity. They're not running away. They're in water. They're shipwrecked.
What about soldiers who are running away? They're not attacking you at the moment.
Because soldiers that are running away are still considered part of combat. Fleeing is a military operation.
Right. Why would these people in the boats get the benefit of the law of warfare where they're not engaged in any recognized military force or warfare?
Because when you're not a fucking savage, that's how you conduct yourself as a first world country. Especially as a country that says that we don't exist under the Rome Statute because we're not signatories to the ICC. We have our own military courts that are supposed to hold our own behavior accountable. That's why stuff like Abu Ghraib and that's why stuff like Gitmo is not always on the up and up. And some of it we went after. So the answer is there is international customary humanitarian law where all of us agree that there are certain rules. You can't torture people. You can't rape people.
Let me know when
you
you're
can't
done.
capture people. Well, I'm informing you since you apparently don't know anything about international law.
You're not
Murdering
answering the
people,
question. Just let me know when you're done.
The question specifically is you can't murder people that are just swing.
For people to have the protection of the law of war, they have to qualify for the protection of the law of war. These are regular combatants engaged in chemical warfare against the United States. Don't qualify for the law.
Number one, even if what you just said was true, they do qualify. Number two, you have no evidence of any of those claims. An enemy combatant that is shipwrecked qualifies for prisoner of war status. Where what?
They're not in uniform. They
don't have to be in uniform.
Military force. Okay.
Doesn't matter. I know it hurts. Yeah, I know. It's okay.
Yeah,
Your daddy Trump just commits war crimes or Hexeth, whatever you want to say. I know it hurts, but
you guys, gang, I love the energy. I love the passion. It's really great content. But we gotta let Andrew finish his point, please. Andrew, go ahead.
No, I'll let Destiny go. I just do want to say, however, that I guess I misunderstood what the nature of the format would be here. I'm unlikely to stay for 2 hours to get yelled at by Destiny. That's not a good use of my time. So if we could maybe have questions and answers and people have an opportunity to exchange views and positions, we don't have to agree, but we can inform the audience that way. Getting yelled at by Destiny for 2 hours isn't informing anybody.
I'll be nicer.
I guess
we probably get more. We'll probably get further if you actually let people like respond, and rather than just trying to cut them down before they finish, you actually just let them respond.
It would be nice if they were responsive to my questions. That'd be nice. We'd probably get somewhere faster.
We got it. Okay.
And instead of mischaracterizing as not being responsive, I'll tell you. You tell me how it fails to respond, and I'll tell you how it is. Andrew could do the same.
Also,
but I do agree.
What was the question for the debate? Because we seem to have wandered somewhat far afield.
I'm trying to rein it back in. Right. We're going to be talking about the shooting of the National Guard members, right? And who bears responsibility and to what extent they bear responsibility, and if Trump does so. So let's kind of reset, get it back on track. Okay. So
I have a question because they really want to answer questions.
Go ahead. Ask your question. I better be on track or else
Do you think Donald Trump has ever toned down rhetoric, or has he only ever made it worse in the last year?
He's allowed to engage in rhetoric. He's a politician. He has no
That's not
obligation
what
to.
I didn't.
He's sorry.
He's asking if he has.
Wait, I asked if he has. I thought you were here to answer my questions, not say whether or not it was okay what Trump did.
All right, I get to speak what I'd like to say. Is that okay? You can tell
answer
the
my question.
audience
It's
that
not
I failed.
okay.
let him give his answer, and if it's not responsive to your question, you can remind him of that after he's given his answer.
I don't work for you, Soy Pill. I don't have to answer questions to your satisfaction.
Yeah, well, you also
I will
have a
answer
goldfish memory,
sorry.
So 3
Hold
seconds after I
on.
ask my question, please
Okay,
answer
I'm
it.
gonna have to start muting people.
I'm
Okay,
gonna bow out if this is. I'm not spending 2 hours of my night like this. This is pointless.
You just answer my question.
Finish your statement, Andrew. Go ahead, please.
State your question, Soy Pill, and I will provide the answer I believe is appropriate for me. Go ahead.
Okay, has Donald Trump ever turned down the rhetoric, or has he only ever inflated it and made it worse?
I think the questions are Okay, the question's irrelevant because Donald Trump has no obligation to turn down the rhetoric.
Cool.
He's
So you're not going to answer my question. So you can stop talking now. You can bow out now if you're not going to respond to anything I say.
I'm out.
I muted him.
All right, bye. See ya, dude. You're fucking useless, dude.
I muted. I guess.
Remember at the start I said this is what all Republicans do. Is Trump is just given the outer perimeter of what he's legally allowed to do, but then on the other end, by the way, those politicians were allowed to make that video, right?
Well, hold on.
I think they actually. I think they probably broke the law. Actually.
You're unfucking believable. You're disgusting, like a subhuman. I can't believe that you guys, the free speech guys, would say stuff like this. It's unbelievable to me.
Why?
This is
hold
your
on,
debate.
just real quick, Destiny, please. Why did they break the law? Give us that argument, please.
When they're under 18 U.S.C. 2387 that they're trying to demoralize and discourage the military from actually following the commanding officers. That's what they're trying to do. That's what their objective is. You know it also. You can pretend that you don't know that that's what their objective is. Their objective is that every time an order comes down, which the left may question, that they have to sit there and think to themselves, is this something that I can get in trouble for down the road? That's what their objective is. Why else are they making the video? You have no answer to that, because that's the only possible motivation.
Hold on, the possibility is they don't want. Could it be? This might be a stretch. Okay, maybe they just don't want them to follow unlawful orders.
Right. Okay, but then you wouldn't put it under the context of literally days after Alyssa Slotkin goes out there, says that Trump is issuing illegal orders.
Well, wait. Wasn't Trump issuing illegal orders? Didn't that happen?
No, he wasn't.
So the murdering of the people
believes he did something illegal.
See, now you want to go into the whole murdering that happened after the video was made. Right?
How about we can talk about stealing the National Guard from the governors when Trump is using the National Guard and redeploying them to states without the governor's consent?
That actually so far when it was bouncing around the Ninth Circuit, it actually held up pretty well. See, what ends up happening when these things go for the court, this is another problem with just telling a military member, you decide what's unconstitutional. Let me just finish my point.
You made a claim. You made a claim. My understanding is the last thing that went through the DC thing, they said no, he wasn't allowed to do that. That deployment was illegal. Is that true or not true?
It depends on. There's so many cases going on. I'm not going to tell you that I can tell you in this court versus in that court that this is the status as of right now here versus that one over there. Now, maybe somehow you got your hands on some sort of AI there, which is able to flesh out for you in the Ninth Circuit versus DC Circuit versus what's happening in Washington versus what's happening in Illinois and California. Maybe you have something that can do that. I don't profess to have encyclopedic knowledge of the thousands of cases that the left has ended up causing because Trump became president. They just not happy with any order he issues, that they're going to try and fight it in one jurisdiction after another. So I can't tell you.
Wait, hello?
In jurisdiction Y. What's your issue? You okay?
No, you cut out.
You cut out for a minute.
Okay.
So then isn't it possible then, isn't it possible then that Slotkin really did believe then, if this is really complicated and some courts are ruling some ways and some courts are ruling, that maybe these people did believe that Trump is issuing illegal orders?
Oh no, it's very possible. It's very possible they thought.
When you said
so, don't they have the freedom? Don't they have the freedom to say? Don't they have the freedom then to say?
No, because here's the question: they have to be acting under the default that it is constitutional, especially because so many of these orders that at the lower level are declared unconstitutional, and then as soon as you get to the circuit court, they say no, that's totally fine. So now how is it that if judges who are proficient in the law and understand the law are sitting here arguing about what's constitutional and what's not, how can it possibly be healthy or natural or normal for any typical military member sit there trying to figure out what the ultimate determination of law will be on this particular action that he has yet to take?
Well, they already have that. They already have that burden. They already have. You asked the question. Do you understand? They already have that burden, right? They're already supposed to do that.
That burden is so obviously egregiously beyond what the Constitution allows.
Yeah, like killing people in the middle of the ocean outside a country that we're not even declared war against.
You're coming to this case, which came up after they made the video, and I'll tell you right now, I haven't researched the law because I didn't think that when we're talking about whether or not shooting the National Guard is Trump's fault is going to somehow lead itself to a conversation about shooting down a boat in the Pacific. So I didn't look that up. And I'm not going to speak without knowing what the law is in that particular circumstance.
Okay, because we can talk about something that Trump did that's relevant, like how the most recent case from Cobb says that what he did in deploying the National Guard was illegal. Do you think that they should ignore those orders because the person ruled
at which level? At which level of court is that?
I don't remember what
exactly. It wasn't the Supreme Court.
Was.
It wasn't the Supreme Court. And that's my point, is that these cases go back and forth. Now, you have to put this in a practical sense because...
Wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, quick. Just real quick. Well, because he just misquoted something, because maybe he doesn't know the difference. I don't know if he knows what a preliminary injunction is or a TRO is, but you don't need the Supreme Court to rule on something to stay or to order a preliminary injunction or a TRO. So I don't know why you just said why you're pretending that something needs to go all the way up to the Supreme Court before a lawful order is issued. Okay, just to be clear. Go ahead. The next thing you said.
I'll answer that question, which is a pretty simple question. Every time there's been a TRO that's been issued against him, Trump has fought against it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
It doesn't,
every time.
It doesn't. Hold
and
on.
it's happened
Excuse me. Are you implying?
Times.
Let me just be clear. Are you implying that if a TRO is issued as approved against you at a district or a circuit court, that if you violate the lawful command of that TRO, of that preliminary injunction, that if it eventually gets overturned in the Supreme Court, you won't face some kind of contempt or criminal consequences?
Trump hasn't done that. He's actually bent over backwards. You want to know what Trump's
Wait, can you answer that question real quick? Why can't you answer any question?
Let him respond if he doesn't.
He didn't answer the question. He just lied and said that Trump hasn't done it. Trump did do it, by the way. It was a huge issue with the immigration case where they ignored the order that was issued. You're lying because I have to correct the record.
I'm not lying.
They told the planes to turn
lying.
around and they didn't do it, and they're getting in trouble for the fact that they violated that TRO, even if it was eventually overturned at a higher court. You still have to listen to the orders of the court. You got to assume you'll win later on.
This is exactly the point. Judge Boasberg, when he's sitting there trying to say, I'm in D.C. and I'm going to start directing the President of the United States as to what he can do with his military planes that are flying out of Texas and going south of the border, and I'm going to start telling him what he can do with these military planes. The audacity of Judge Boasberg in that moment was unconscionable.
The audacity of a federal judge in the federal
100%.
Jurisdiction to make orders related to the
100%.
rights of American citizens? What the fuck are you talking about? I'm sorry, hold on. Do we need the Gulf of America judges to make the rulings on this?
Look,
Who would be the one to make the ruling?
I understand you haven't spent 10 seconds in law school, so you don't understand what jurisdiction means. But
he has explain no jurisdiction. Wait.
Jurisdiction.
You're right. Hold on. Wait. He has no jurisdiction. Well, first of all, he's fucking up jurisdiction and venue right now. No. Yeah, explain jurisdiction. Who would have jurisdiction over that?
Because of lack of venue, he doesn't have jurisdiction.
So then I was right. You need a courthouse that's floating in the Gulf of America that has proper venue and jurisdiction to hear the case? Is that what you need? No. Who has jurisdiction to hear that case? Tell me.
Because you're ignorant about the law.
See how he's doing the insults now? He has no argument. Who has the jurisdiction then? Which court hears that case? Which court hears that case?
One name after another.
Which court hears the case? Which court hears the case?
Stephanie, please.
That would be. It would probably be a district court in Texas where it flies out of.
No, it doesn't have to be a district court in Texas. You don't know where they fly out of. You don't.
Counselor Destiny's coming here telling me it doesn't have to be there. Well, apparently the Supreme Court thought you're wrong. Maybe they should consult with you. You know the law far better than everyone else. You're sitting here mocking, saying everyone else is stupid or a liar, blah, 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 and over-talking them when you have no idea how the law actually functions. And you're
why did the court say that Texas? Why did the court say that they had to issue it out of Texas? A Texas court had to hear it instead of the D.C. one.
I'm sorry.
Why does the Texas court? Why is that the proper venue versus the D.C. one?
Because it's flying out of Texas.
Okay. What was the issue that the plaintiffs brought up in the D.C. case?
Which issue? Which D.C. case?
The one that you're talking about, where they said that the Venezuelans that brought up the case eventually it was in front of Boasberg in the D.C. Circuit, and eventually it was ruled against them that they had to bring it up in Texas instead. Right? What was the issue?
And Boasberg got overruled.
Yeah. What were the plaintiffs' issues with that?
Because he didn't have jurisdiction.
What were the plaintiffs?
You're missing the entire point.
It's venue.
You're
okay. No, I'm not missing the entire point. You're misleading. You're misleading. You're misleading. Yes, but the issue was they couldn't choose a proper venue because the people had no notice about where they were being flown out to. That was the whole issue, is that Trump issued this order on a Friday night. The plaintiffs brought it to a court with proper, they could hear it federally. It was a jurisdictionally federal case, but they had to do it properly in a different venue because the government successfully argued in front of this joke Supreme Court that this was a habeas corpus claim and not an administrative procedures claim, okay? But the issue is that, the issue the plaintiffs had was that they didn't even know. Well, hold on, I'm not even.
You gotta let him respond, please. He lost his teammate. His teammate decided that, whatever. I don't know.
So then the question: if it would have been a Texas court, then would he have said a Texas court could have turned the planes around?
Good logic, please go ahead.
It's an interesting legal question as to whether or not they've.
Oh my God! All right, sorry.
You asked me a question. I'm giving you a fair answer. Okay. You asked me a question. I'm giving you an answer. What I'm saying is, you assume that courts are God. And
I assume that courts can tell you what the law is. I'm sorry. Trump is God to you.
The Constitution. No, I don't think Trump is God. I think Trump is very fallible. I think he made a lot of mistakes. Perhaps, arguably, that he's not fascistic enough. Because if he was more of a fascist, if he was the fascist that the left claims that he is, if in fact he was, in that case, you wouldn't have Sarah Beckstrom dead right now, right? The reason this guy's here, I'm going to try to bring this back to the actual conversation, to the premise that we have here. Why is this guy here in this country? Everyone loves to say that Trump's court in April actually approved and gave him asylum. But the reason they ended up giving him asylum is because the way the law was built and baked specifically by the Biden administration was that unless this guy had committed fraud or some crime after he got here that he was convicted in a court of law for, they had to grant him the asylum. So they basically made it. They brought in all these millions of people, and in Operation and the OAW of where they basically say, "Hey, we're going to bring in all of these Afghanis." They basically and then they assigned them temporary protected status. What they basically said is, "We're going to fast track you to getting you legalized here without any vetting, and then we're just going to basically say, oh, okay, you now can apply, and it's going to be impossible for a court to remove you because based on the way the law is written, and you have to follow what the law says based on the law is written." Yeah, he does.
So Trump had no issue. So Trump had no issue flying these people to fucking Venezuela, some of which have been brought back now. He had no issue doing any of that, but he was forced to grant asylum to this guy.
Well, first and foremost, like I said, Boasberg did not have jurisdiction. You see, you're trying to deflect over to that whole Boasberg situation.
No, you literally said Trump has to follow the law. When you were just talking about how Trump doesn't have to follow the law like 10 minutes ago.
No.
I said true.
The only reason that Sarah Beckstrom is dead is because he's not a fascist. Because if he was a fascist,
why was that guy even there?
Because Biden set up that it was impossible to legally remove him. He set up that it was impossible to legally remove him. That's my point. Let me just finish this point. That if Trump was the fascist he was and he wants all these people gone, he would have ignored the law and say, I don't care what the law says, I'm deporting them. But he hasn't been doing that.
He literally did that when he invoked the Alien Enemies Act.
He did, but my point is, every single time, instead, what would a fascist do? A fascist would basically take his military and have them do what he wants. Instead, he tries to work within the confines of the law. Now, you don't like the way he tries to work within the confines of the law.
Trump using the military
you gotta let him finish.
Well, he keeps off like 6 different points. They're all contradictory. Can we not jump in and tell him when he's being stupid?
I'll give you uninterrupted time as soon as he's done. My God, you guys are making me... Okay. Sorry.
You have like a little notepad everything so I can see all his different points and remember which ones are the dumb ones I have to respond to.
All right. You see, all you have is trying to disparage me without actually refuting a single thing I say, which I take that as a compliment. Now,
to be clear, we've refuted tons of things, right? You haven't given a single example of anybody conducting himself the way that Trump has, correct? You conceded that point entirely.
That what?
That nobody has ordered their DOJ around like Donald Trump has. Nobody's done that. You can't give a single example of that. It's unprecedented.
No, what Trump does is what he does is with transparency. He does it publicly.
No, it's a conversation. Wait, is my thing lagging? Did somebody just ask if Trump was transparent or public? I didn't hear that. So I don't know who you're talking to right now. I said, is there any example of anybody ordering their DOJ around like Trump does? And you just said, you mumbled something about transparent. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you have any examples of that?
Because I don't know what conversations are happening.
Why can't you just say no? Why can't you say no? There are no examples. Trump is acting in an unprecedented manner.
I don't know that it is.
He's assuming
then why can't you provide a single example? If this is so common, give me a single example of another president ordering their DOJ like this to arrest particular political opponents.
Soypol just gave you the answer. He just told you what I said, that you pretended I didn't answer, but he understood what I was saying.
Okay, no, yeah, but that's a stupid point. I was summarizing your stupid point. It's still
okay. Well, you can disagree with me,
okay,
but like,
so can you say? So you say there are no examples?
I can't look into every single government document. Therefore, I can't say for certain that no one has done what Trump has done, even though Trump is the only one we know who has actually done it. That's what you're saying.
He's the only one who tells you what he's going to do bore he does it. He tells you by True Social, which you can.
Does Donald Trump know about the existence of aliens?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, he hasn't said it publicly, so like I can only assume that it must maybe be true that every president knows about the existence of aliens, and we can all just operate under that assumption instead of no, because we have zero evidence of it, and there would be no reason to assume it's true, right?
I have no idea where you're going here. I have no idea where you're going.
You are assuming that every other president has maybe done just as bad as what Trump has done with the DOJ, only because they've done it clandestinely.
There's indicia of that. There's indicia of that.
What's one example?
You refute the indicia, which I said, if you're weaponizing your tax agency, you think you're not weaponizing your DOJ? That's the first place you go is hey, let's harass them with taxes?
There's not even that. But we're not talking about the IRS. I'm talking about the Department of Justice. Whereas the President of the United States told the Department of Justice on who to prosecute. There's no examples. That's fine. You're going to say there's no examples of it in the public record.
Oh, what's Jack Smith?
Jack Smith was a special counsel that was appointed by the Attorney General.
Yeah, but who's the Attorney General work for?
The Attorney General didn't communicate, but because you say, who does he work for? That's
Who does he work for?
The American people. The Attorney General is appointed by the President of the United States. The Attorney General does not take, the AG does not take orders from the President on who to prosecute.
Really? Really? Then why Merrick Garland just decide to appoint someone? Why did they not go through the normal confirmation process with Jack Smith? So much so that the case in Florida got tossed out because he didn't have jurisdiction to actually bring the case.
The case in Florida got tossed out because Thomas wrote some incredibly stupid thing about how Jack Smith wasn't legally appointed or whatever. It was the only special prosecutor who wasn't legally appointed. But the reality is
why wasn't he legally appointed?
Why would he even need that special prosecutor when Merrick Garland himself could just go after Donald Trump? And also, this is all a pivot. Just say you can't give an example of somebody going after a political opponent like Donald Trump has.
No, what I'm saying is that if you're going after people with your IRS, you're certainly going after them with your DOJ.
So no, you can't. Can you name any executive orders besides the ones written by Trump that have targeted particular people?
Okay, so I'll explain to the law, and I say, can you refute the law? And then when you try refuting, I'll say, so no, you can't. You see, that's not. You're trying to win an argument rather than make a point.
The point I'm making is that there are no presidents in U.S. history that have given direct instructions to their attorney generals to go after political opponents, even naming out the unqualified prosecutor that they want to use, the unappointed, unconfirmed one, the unconfirmed prosecutor to use to go after them.
You think Alyssa Slotkin? You think Mark Kelly is a political?
You see this pivot?
No,
do you see this pivot?
I'm asking a question. What you just said. I'm not pivoting. I'm asking a question. What you just said. What you just said.
Donald Trump's Truth Social, where he says that Pam Bondi needs to go after 3 people. He names what was
They're
it?
His political opponents.
Yes.
They're a threat to him. Are they a threat to him?
No, they made him mad because he's a narcissist.
No, so I'm saying, so they're not his political opponents. They're just people who made him mad.
Yes. Those are politically. They're his political opponents. Yes.
Why? No. What makes them a political opponent? Political opponent is someone who you're actually, competing with in politics.
So the president has no political opponents because he's the president of the United States and no one else is running for his office anymore? Stop. What a stupid argument that you're trying to make right now. Donald Trump targeted people on a political basis, not on a prosecutor, not he thought they broke the law. And you can't give me any examples of anybody else doing anything even remotely similar. You can't. You have none.
We have to. Again, I'm going to have to. Do I have to have timers in this shit, right? Do I have to have 1 minute for one side, 1 minute for the other? I hoped we could have like an actual back and forth conversation, but this is. I
actually don't mind the way he's been trying to cut me off. I do think he actually makes his argument sound weaker when he's trying to desperately say, you're saying nothing, you're stupid, you're saying nothing, you're stupid, rather than actually trying to make a point back.
I did make a point. You can give examples. You were pointing this IRS thing that led to no criminal charges. Even Donald Trump's own DOJ didn't pursue anything more after that.
I also pointed to Biden's DOJ trying to prosecute him.
Because he broke the law. Just somebody trying to
the topic.
No, somebody trying to prosecute you. Somebody is not. No, this is on topic. Trust me. Somebody trying to prosecute you doesn't mean that you're being politically hunted. It's because he broke the law flagrantly and openly.
Broke the law flagrantly and openly.
Yes.
So much so that the ones you actually got convictions on, no one can even understand what law he broke.
Well, I'm talking about the Mar-a-Lago cases. I'm talking about the Mar-a-Lago cases. And guess what? There were more convictions than there were in any IRS bullshit you're bringing up, right?
You tell me, Destiny, if it's so obvious, if everything there was so crystal clear, why did they not bother going through the normal confirmation process with Jackson?
This is completely irrelevant to the question. The fact that they even use a special counsel. No, the fact that they even use a special counsel shows that Biden is not directly ordering his attorney general.
But he wasn't an actual special counsel. That's my point. He was just an extension of Garland, who's an extension of Biden. They pretended it was.
Did Biden order this? Did Biden order this?
I have no idea. Biden. I don't
so
know.
then we're not on topic. We're not even talking about this. So maybe Merrick Garland is the deep state secret agent.
No, what I'm saying is I don't think Biden himself did it, but I definitely think people who work for him in the Oval Office, who are the ones who are controlling his automatic pen. Yeah. I think those people are the ones who are controlling Merrick Garland and Jack Smith.
What is the evidence we have right now so far of the auto pen? Just curious. Not the one that Trump got caught using, but the one that Biden was supposedly using. What's the evidence we have so far for that?
Now you're going. My point is, you're asking me if Biden did it. I'm saying
you just made another bullshit claim. Oh, who told Merrick Garland then? Since you seem to know this, just tell us. You have nothing. Everything you say is a fucking lie. How many people were convicted? You said that Donald Trump's 34 felonies and convictions were bullshit. How many people were convicted over the Obama tax fraud stuff? How many people got convicted from that? Keeping in mind that Donald Trump was the next... the answer is fucking 0. So this isn't even remotely equivalent because that whole case was fucking bullshit. Everybody knew it.
So now you're living in the naive world where you think that because no one prosecuted folks from the Obama administration, that means everything there was 100% above board.
It was investigated and there were no charges recommended. And Donald Trump was the next president, and he investigated, and he didn't recommend.
No charges. No charges brought against Hillary for when
Hillary didn't break the law.
That she did.
Hillary didn't break any laws.
I don't even think you believe that.
I know that. I'm pretty sure that's. I don't think you. What law do you think she broke?
I'm pretty sure you didn't hold that position 8 years ago.
What law did she break? What did she break? What was the proof that she was intentionally retaining classified material, like Donald Trump was at Mar-a-Lago? You at least acknowledge that Donald Trump was intentionally retaining classified material at Mar-a-Lago. He knew it was there, and he knew it wasn't supposed to be there, and he hid it from investigators when they came to find it.
I think he intentionally held documents in Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, that's good. And obstructed the investigation.
That's the first thing you said. I don't know if he legally obstructed it, but I can hear an argument. I actually thought that of all the cases that they brought against him, the Mar-a-Lago case probably had the most sound legal footing.
Okay, so if he's willing to admit that, it was a slam dunk. What did Hillary do that was obviously and clearly against the law?
I mean, we can go into Hillary, but this is really flying far afield. My point is, the only reason I brought up Hillary was not to devolve into a whole conversation as to her illegal conduct. The point was that no matter how nefarious people are, if you're in Washington and you're a Democrat, you're not going to get prosecuted for it, and you'll never get convicted. There's no way you're going to get convicted.
What happened to Hunter Biden? What happened to Hunter Biden?
Hunter Biden was a gift, and when Hunter Biden was a gift. Pivot?
Do you do this now? I'm just curious, like person. Is this an ordinary mental process for you? Do you have to think about how hard you pivot from everything? You said no Democrat got convicted, and I just gave you a guy.
Convicted?
Of two different crimes.
No, he was pleading,
which counts as a conviction.
No, but you can't get a jury to do it.
What are you?
You can't get a jury to do it.
Then why? Wait, if you couldn't get a jury to do it, then why did he take a plea deal? Wait, if he knew he was going to beat every jury, then why did he take the plea deal?
What is the difference legally between a conviction by plea deal and a conviction by jury?
Well, he's trying to make the argument that the jury wouldn't convict because everybody's so biased and he can't get a fair trial anywhere because all the Democrats love everybody in D.C.
No, not anywhere.
Then why?
Not anywhere.
Then why did he take a plea deal if he knew he would always beat the jury because they love Democrats so much?
Because the entire point of the Hunter Biden prosecution was to try and give cover that there was some legitimacy to the Trump prosecutions. That's why. That's the only reason they didn't.
So Comey and Jim Jordan were all on board with the Democratic Party here. What evidence do you have of this?
What does that mean? No, what I'm saying.
Wait, do you have any evidence of this?
What do you mean? Do I have any evidence of this?
A single shred of evidence.
Charges. They didn't bring the most serious charges.
Why not? Why not?
Because it wasn't a real prosecution.
Yes, because it was Republican. It was a bullshit Republican talking point. Yeah, I agree. Started by who started that? Who started the whole sham prosecution into Hunter Biden? It was Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani. Why do you think he was fucking impeached?
It should have been a real prosecution.
It wasn't though, because the confidential informant that started off that whole prosecution lied about everything. Donald Trump and Giuliani literally made phone calls to Zelensky begging him to announce this sham prosecution. That's why it fucking went nowhere. It was bullshit from the very start.
Okay.
Are we actually going back to 2018?
Just real quick, Soy Pill's been wanting in.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to make
sure.
Yeah,
if you want to recenter the debate a little bit, the whole reason we're talking about all this Trump bullshit is because we're talking about how he has fostered the environment for inflamed rhetoric and violence and all this other stuff. And it seems like you're willing to get on your knees and defend literally anything that he did. So can you, other than not being fascist enough, is there a single thing you think Trump has done to contribute to the inflammatory, violent nature and rhetoric of what's going on right now?
I definitely think of things that he's done wrong during this administration. But as far as him inflaming it,
rhetoric.
I mean, I would think that some of the things he says definitely gets people angry. So if to that extent, I would think that
that sounds like the charitable. Well, you're triggered. I'm saying, does he do something wrong that is contributing to the violent nature and the tensions in this country? Because that's like the first axiom of this whole National Guard thing. We're never going to move past it if you can't admit that he's at least done that.
I don't think he sits there trying. Well, let me think that through.
Okay, so like after Charlie,
I want to think through. I want
to
actually.
I'm giving him the example. I'm bailing him out right now. So
no, I don't need you to bail me out.
Okay, just let him.
The last thing I need is for you to bail me out. Yeah, I think that some of the things he says is designed to troll. So I think that a fair claim can be made that definitely amps up the rhetoric.
I don't know why every single like horrible thing Trump does, you have to lube up so it'll fit into your mouth. So what I'm saying is, when Charlie Kirk got blasted.
See, if you were less filthy, I'd have more respect for you.
If you were less of a total fucking Trump dick suck, maybe we could have a real conversation.
If you were less filthy, I would have more respect for you. I can have a real conversation with you.
I have zero respect for you, so I'm not going to be less filthy. No, can we talk, please? Okay.
No, you see,
hey, can I talk? Because I've been listening to this.
No. I'm not going. No. Okay, you can sit there pretending that you're going somewhere here.
Stop. Everyone stop. Good logic. Finish, and then Soy Pill can finish.
I didn't finish. He interrupted me.
No, what I'm simply saying is that I might have no respect for you, but I'm still going to at least fake it.
Why?
Because I was bred by two parents.
I don't care about your personal life.
I was bred by two parents who actually taught me how to engage in discourse. You're not winning an argument if you're just calling me some dick sucker or whatever stupid childish word you want to throw at me.
To the point I'm making. It is clear you're a dick suck. I want to make an actual logical statement afterwards. Okay.
That's not actually making a point.
Yeah. Well,
you're not making a point.
You interrupted me before I got to the logical part.
Well, you would get there a lot faster if you wouldn't waste everyone's time by trying to show that you're such a man that you can use words that are used by fifth graders.
Do you look at me and tell me that I'm trying to appear as such a man? Tell me that, please.
Touche. Touche.
Can I will agree with good logic here. Hold on. Sorry, Paul. Can you please stop trying to act like Donald Trump does on social media every single fucking day? That good logic thinks is epic and hilarious. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, yeah. So when Donald Trump said after the Kirk shooting, and we didn't know anything at all about the shooter, and said, this is the left, they're coming for you, they're violent, we're going to stop them, we're going to root out this evil in our country, he called Democrats pests. This was not, he trolled. This was not, he said things that made people mad. This was him inflaming the rhetoric. Would you agree with that?
I think he was speaking out of fury.
Wait, speaking out of fury to inflame the rhetoric. That's what.
No, it's not. I don't. You're saying that his objective is to inflame the rhetoric.
No, he never said that. You can inflame the rhetoric without
you're saying that's
it being
why.
intentional.
And I'm saying I don't think that's.
What is this standard? Hold on. I'm
not saying it's okay. I didn't say it's okay.
No one said it was okay. We asked if it was inflaming the rhetoric. You don't have to intend to inflame the rhetoric to inflame the rhetoric.
Well, you said the reason he did it was to inflame the rhetoric.
No, I think he just asked if it did inflame the rhetoric.
Well, we can go back to the tape if you want.
Well, ask that question. Sorry, Bill, do you think... Sorry, let's pretend he said that. Did it inflame the rhetoric?
Possibly.
Oh, my God.
Wait, possibly like I can only know if I see the secret documents that the previous presidents are hiding and will never reveal, or possibly like, yeah, probably, but I haven't looked at the polling afterwards or how the entire right reacted to his statements.
No, possibly in the sense that I don't think it's something that's really calculable.
Then nothing is calculable, right?
Well, can I ask?
You're saying what? In what way is it inflamed? What was it at? What is it measured?
As in, if you're a follower of Donald Trump, you feel like you have invulnerability from the laws because you know that Donald Trump will pardon you if you commit crimes on his behalf or if you commit violence on his behalf, because he said that when the right commits violence, it's righteous, and when the left commits violence, it's just them being unhinged.
You're saying it inflamed the rhetoric. How did that manifest into any damage? Tell me who was harmed because of what he said. Tell me one person who was harmed since Charlie Kirk by the left. That you're saying that he's making such a dangerous circumstance. So you tell me the person on the left who's been victimized because of that tweet, or the entire
the whole country has been victimized. What do you mean?
Tell me one person who actually went out there and did anything violent because of something Trump ever said.
Any of the left doing violent stuff against any conservative. The left-leaning people committing violence can be attributed to some extent to what the right-leaning president says. You don't think you can inflame violence against people on the other side?
So when he says that the left is deliriously deranged and dangerous, that now is inflaming the left and justifies them actually manifesting that by going out and killing people.
Did Biden ever say anything like that? I didn't say justify. Why did you add that word? Where did justifies come from? Is the other person in the call again that I can't hear?
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
When did I ever say it justified the left being violent? Hold on. I just want, just to be clear, crystal clear, so the court reporter can hear, get it on the record. You don't think that the president of the United States can say things that would incite the other side to violence? You don't think the president of the United States can do that? He doesn't have that power? When he speaks, only his own side hears him?
Your point is that he's
Why can't he
amping up
ever
the
answer
rhetoric.
a fucking question? Holy shit.
I don't understand your point.
You just can't answer a question. It's a simple question. No, wait, I'm sorry, hold on, let me rephrase. Can a guy say mean thing that even the guy's enemies think is a really mean thing and makes them do bad things? Is that possible?
And you think it's more likely they listen to him than to the
I don't even understand what's happening. It's got to be intentional. It has to be
I
intentional.
gotta translate because I think...
No, don't fucking translate what I'm saying. I'm going to start screaming racial slurs. He knows exactly what I'm saying. It's a fucking game. This is a game.
That's a perfect
Oh,
example.
no. Racial slurs. Oh, no.
All right, flawed logic. Get this. All right, if it's a white guy and a black guy, and they're having an argument, and the white guy busts out the N-word, do you think that's turning up the rhetoric? Because it might make the other guy more angry. So the white guy's not getting more angry, but he has turned up the rhetoric, right, by introducing this horrible slur. Is that possible, that you can inflame the other side?
That's theoretically possible. I think it's a childish perspective to believe that's actually what happens.
You don't think that's?
I think that's childish. I think that's a very, very childish perspective.
Then what? Then what's the number? What's the left turning up the rhetoric then?
I think you have to be an idiot to actually think. I think you have to be an idiot to actually think that that's what happened. And I was giving you the benefit of the doubt that you were not quite that stupid. That you think that after all the hate that they've been ratcheting up against President Trump and the right, actually before Trump even came along, that they've been ratcheting up since 2008, that they've been ratcheting up against the right, saying that they're Nazis, they're fascists, and they're misogynists, and they're transphobic.
Wait.
And did the right you think? No, I'm not done my point.
Oh my
God.
Stop
trying
the
to
fake
interrupt
virtue
me.
signaling.
No,
So fucking cringe. It's cringe when wokies do it, and it's cringe when conservatives do it.
You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now.
Go ahead.
You're still doing it right now. You think that after decades of the left basically screaming about how evil everyone on the right is on, that you think that when he sends out a tweet saying how deranged and seriously dangerous the left is, that is what makes them now act deranged and delirious. How stupid do you have to be to think that his words are what's influencing him in any measurable way at all? Could it theoretically, so to answer your ridiculously stupid childish question, could it theoretically have an impact? Yes. Would any reasonable person think that, yes, now that's why they're violent? All of a sudden, now they're violent? You have to be a moron beyond belief to actually think that's true.
Okay, let's say that everything you just said was true.
Turn off the rhetoric in your mind.
Or I'm curious, what do you think Obama? Do you acknowledge that Republicans have been calling everybody on the left commies and socialists for decades? All throughout Obama's term, he was called a communist and a socialist. Do you acknowledge that?
Yes.
Okay. Who were like the number one enemies of America for the prior 70 years when they were calling Obama a communist?
No, when they were calling him a communist, communism was not that big a threat at that point. At that point, Islam was a much bigger threat.
Do you think Nazis are a big threat?
Okay, yeah, then cool. Then what was a more recent threat? Communists or fascists in the world?
Well, I think that when you're calling someone the most evil person
he realized
ever,
he just walked himself in the dumbest trap in the universe.
No.
Hitler's been dead for 80 years. I mean, he's not that big of a deal.
Fuck. Oh, no, that's so awkward. I feel so awkward for you, bro. You just posted cringe.
Done?
Good logic. You respond, please.
Yeah, there's a very big difference. No, the public does not recognize communism for the danger that it is. They don't recognize socialism for the danger it is. You don't take offense at being called a socialist. You embrace it.
Which political party did we ban? Was it the USA Communist Party?
I would take offense at being called a socialist or
what
communist.
What did it call? Was it the Brown Scare that we had?
You embrace that term. Do you not embrace the term socialist?
Me? No, fuck no. And it doesn't matter if you embrace it or not. Black people call themselves the N-word. I can't go around and call them the N-word and say, well, you guys embrace it, don't you? What a stupid fucking point.
But what I'm saying is so it's not a slur if I call you something that you happily admit you are.
It absolutely is. If you called me a faggot, I wouldn't assume that you're saying it as a term of endearment. What are you talking about? I'm sorry, man. No, hold on. What do you mean? Just because somebody says something about themselves like this doesn't mean that it all of a sudden doesn't become a slur. I mean, I says it. Also, in the era of Obama, we just spent the whole 60 whatever fucking years in the whole Cold War. How are you trying to pretend like communism wasn't the number one threat to the United States? What was the Cuban Missile Crisis about? You don't think every single American...
I'll quote Obama himself. I'll answer you by quoting Obama himself. The 1980s are calling in their foreign policy, they want their foreign policy back. No one was worried about socialism and communism in 2012.
Then why were they calling him a communist as an insult?
Because it wasn't as an insult. They were saying he's a threat. They weren't saying that he's an insult.
Oh, so it was a description.
He's a danger to capitalism.
And what do you do? What do you do to communist dangers of capitalism? What did we just spend the past 60 years doing? The dangers of capitalism.
Why do you think we call people fascist or Nazi? Do you think it's because we're insulting them?
No, I think it is considered, but it's considered an insult because if you're embracing socialists and I call you a socialist, I might mean it as an offense. I might look at it as
Donald Trump should be more fascist. Do you think that's embracing fascism a little bit?
No, I'm saying I don't think. By the way, what I'm saying is, if he were more fascist, we would be in a less dangerous situation.
True, because all the enemies would be dead by now. True.
I don't want him to be a fascist. What I'm saying is the reason he's having these problems is because he's bending over backwards to try and work within the binds of the Constitution.
You can't really believe this.
Literally ran on, let's try to ignore all of the judges. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? When did he say that?
Vance saying, let's ignore all the judges when he was running for president?
He did the Andrew Jackson meme quote.
I'm not sure what.
You're saying no? The Supreme Court has made its ruling. Now let's see them try to enforce it. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, he was saying
where he said like, let's ignore the courts because the courts are saying things that go against us and our agenda. When he was running for president. I'm sorry.
JD Vance.
Attention to. I'm assuming you voted for Trump. I would probably.
JD Vance. I think you're an idiot if you think Vance ran for president. I don't even know what you're trying to say. I don't know what you're trying to say.
He was just the vice president, bro. Can we go back to Hunter Biden now? Oh my God.
Okay.
I don't know what you're trying to say. When did Vance
ran on an agenda of let's ignore judge rulings so that we can get our agenda done? Do you know this, or are you completely
that's made up?
Of it?
That's completely.
Do you want me to? I'll send you the quote.
That's okay. All right,
Okay,
good.
okay.
We'll have
That's
fun.
okay.
I want to.
I know you don't
want
like
to
to do
try for
research
the
on the
third
people you
time
vote
and maybe
for,
the final time, right? The third time, the final time to please bring us back on topic. Good logic. So if Trump is not to blame here, right, and you feel that, as I understand, he has no culpability in this, I guess I'll ask this. Do you think that the Democrats have any, or Democrat politicians or any specifics, have any culpability in what happened to the National Guard in D.C.? Why or why not? Go ahead.
I think that bringing people in here without vetting them, I think that's a serious problem. You're creating a dangerous situation, and we've seen the repercussion in countless dead people for that would not be here, but for the fact that we decided we're not going to be worried about who's coming in here because we're going to try and bring in here as many people as we can. And I think that was part of the Democratic agenda. I think that's one of the things that Trump is trying to rectify. So yeah, I think the fact that there's a with respect to this particular shooting, because we don't know the motives of the shooter yet. So I think it would be inappropriate for me to tell you the reason he shot was because of policy A, B, C, or D. I know people are saying that he was screaming Allahu Akbar. I don't know what his motivations were. I don't think anyone here knows what his motivations were. But I would say that the continual rhetoric where you're saying that the other side is full of fascists, Nazis, and racists, that is not people you negotiate with. You don't negotiate with fascists and racists. I wouldn't negotiate with a fascist or a racist.
Didn't Trump call Democrats fascist? Didn't he call Kamala Harris a fascist?
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible. I don't know when.
It's not possible. It's 100% true.
He did. He said that.
Okay.
Yes.
I also link you to the J.D. Vance quote if you want to read it and educate yourself, because you apparently didn't keep up to date with the people you're voting for. But
I keep up to date with people I voted for. I voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah. Did you know that?
Well, and J.D. Vance, you voted for both. It's a two-person ticket.
What I'm saying is, no. Do I actually? Yeah. But for one reason or another, when I vote, I don't actually look at every single interview that both candidates have with every party. I might look at the
very important things about how they're going to conduct themselves as president. Like, hey, ignore the courts. That's a pretty big one for me.
Well, and what we saw is that they haven't. Time and again, they haven't.
Yeah,
they want to. Yeah, of course they want to. You want to see him. You want to see him dead, but you're not going to kill him.
No, I super don't actually.
You don't want to see. You don't want to see Trump die.
No, I want to see him rot in a jail cell until he dies of old age. But I hope it happens peacefully and patriotically.
Well, you're unlike most of your kin.
Okay.
I'm just saying, assuming that's true, you're unlike most of your kin. My point is, you're sitting here trying to say that some sort of gotcha on me, that I don't know he purportedly said something about ignoring judges. What I'm saying is what we've seen.
Gotcha. It's like a big hole in your entire structure of, hey, I voted for this guy who's very explicitly doing his best to do illegal things and doing everything he can to ignore the court.
No, he's not doing illegal things.
Out of the other side of your mouth saying, actually, he's doing everything he can to follow the law, which is just blatantly
He has been. He has 100% been doing that, because he could have just said, F you, I'm doing what I want. And he hasn't.
Whenever that's basically what he's done, to be clear, right? Everybody knows that.
Whenever there's been an order, I'll tell you this much. Does he try to find loopholes in what they say? 100%. He has. He has. But there's a very significant difference. The very significant difference is the difference between following the Constitution and fascism. So despite the fact that you guys keep calling him a fascist, he has not been a fascist. If he had been a fascist, his life probably would have been a lot simpler. I'm glad he's not given into that temptation. A lesser man would have.
He gives in every single day. The funny thing is, it would take a greater man to even be fascist, because he's too childlike in his narcissism to even fathom a political ideology. That's why he becomes a cum vessel for every fucking person around him, like Stephen Miller or J.D. Vance or all these other people that are fighting for control of the White House.
Does this really work for you, the whole cum dick sucker?
Does it really work for you to pretend not to know any event ever that goes contrary to your narrative, that when calling people a fascist is the most important thing in the world, you don't know a single time that Trump has said it, even though it's been headline news every time he's done it, but you pretend not to know a single fucking thing about any of it? Is it really crazy that you seem to know every single court order, and you want to go and dig into why a special prosecutor may or may not have been legally assigned, but you don't know anything about the D.C. court saying that, actually the deployment of the National Guard here was actually against the law? The selective knowledge is fucking epic. Keep it up. Seems to work for you.
I do have a question for Destiny.
The issue that you just raised, that on November 20th, that there was an order at the district court. My point is, that's an order that's a district court, which did not come out, did not exist at the time that they made the video, and is almost certainly going to be overturned at the next level. So do you understand how dangerous it is?
Judge,
do you understand? I'm asking you a question now. Do you understand just how dangerous it is to have members of Congress go out there and start advocating just blanketly that if there's an unconstitutional order that you need to that he's issuing orders, and you do agree that they say over and over again. Let's start with this premise. Do you agree that they've said over and over again that there have been unconstitutional orders that Trump and this administration have issued? Do both of you agree with that premise?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if they've been saying that over and over again, now let's try to figure out how this will practically apply to any member of our military if they actually take to heart the message that those seditious six were throwing out there. So what
I don't
they're
know who
actually
the seditious six are. Also, Donald Trump literally pardoned 12 people convicted of seditious conspiracy. I don't know what seditious six. Nobody's been convicted of anything. You acknowledge the only time you acknowledge Donald Trump pardoned.
Seditious six is a reference.
It's a histrionic delusion in your mind. Donald Trump pardoned people convicted of seditious conspiracy, where the seditious conspiracy was to help him, right?
Just real quick, Destiny, you gotta let him ask his question. You've asked plenty of questions.
No, he can't load it. If I'm allowed to load, if I can say 10 racial slurs while asking a question. No, I don't. We can go back and forth all he wants.
You always do. You always do.
Because I'm responding to the 50 million things. I try to ask a simple yes or no question. He fucking runs off on fucking 50 million. He's out of my jurisdiction to answer these questions. I don't know what Delulu land he's in when he's talking half the fucking time.
Look, how he answers it is his problem. And you can hold him to account if he fails to answer your question. That's fine. But he's going to ask you a question, and we do got to give him. Okay. He has been gracious to us to come on tonight and to stay, and we appreciate that. And we're going to let him ask you a question now. Go ahead. Good logic. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the point that I'm making is, what practical impact could this have? You recognize, you've admitted that the seditious six, which I'm using that as a reference to the six people who made that 90-second commercial. The six members of Congress made that commercial. I didn't coin that term. Pete Hegseth used that term. Several people have used that term. I think it's a rather apt term, and they obviously are not convicted of committing sedition, but it's just a way of referencing those six members of Congress. So
now, can we use your standard then for
he hasn't asked his question yet. You got to let him ask his goddamn question.
His question was, could it lead to something bad? And I'm going to use his standard for Trump's thing.
No.
Can you point to a single bad action or insubordination that has happened?
You're answering a question you think he's going to ask, but he hasn't yet asked it. Let him ask it so that even if you can mind read it, the audience might not have your abilities to mind read. So let him ask the question. The audience can hear the question, and then they can hear your response. Great, good. Go ahead. Good logic.
So now, assuming you're a supporter of Alyssa Slotkin, you voted for her, or you voted for one of these other members of the Seditious Six, and you think that they're a very important and significant voice in Congress. So you take what they say to heart, and you're a member of the military. What do you think your reaction is now every time you get an order that is borderline okay, not okay? It's questionable. Maybe it's constitutional, maybe it's not. Do you think that there's going to be maybe I should hesitate. I've seen this person do potentially illegal things, and I'm going to be extra vigilant about it. But just with your criteria for the Trump inflaming the rhetoric post Charlie Kirk assassination, I'm going to ask you: can you point to a single? I'm not done. Can you point to a single violent thing that has happened because of the Seditious Six video, or anyone who's disobeyed an order in a way that has caused people to get hurt? No, it's only happened. They only did this 2 weeks ago.
Okay, well then I will just say probably this could happen, but it didn't. So.
Oh, okay. No, but since they're setting up a situation that probably could happen, that's sedition. Because what you're looking at in the practical terms here is that there very likely can be orders that some people will think is unconstitutional. Some people will think is not unconstitutional. Even judges may disagree. At the district court level, might be called unconstitutional. At the circuit court level, it'll be overturned and said totally fine. But those orders have to be carried out in the moment by an individual with a limited time frame and very limited knowledge of the law. So instead of them being able to focus on it, now this Slotkin supporter, this Mark Kelly supporter, who's in the military and is holding the yaw of some fighter plane and has to decide what they're going to do, now has that going through their head. That makes for a much more dangerous situation for an action that a court later on, very likely, very, very plausibly, will actually say was constitutional. So now what these seditious six have done is they've made a very dangerous, hostile situation way more dangerous.
You understand? You understand that it might be a good chilling effect that people in the military might ignore orders from a fascist president, right? I'm only using fascist president because that's the nickname a lot of people have given him, right? But you understand that might be a good chill. Not all chilling effects are bad, right? It might be that we do want our military soldiers. Maybe that's why it's even in the military code of conduct. Maybe that's why when you were at Abu Ghraib, you couldn't just say, a military commander told me to do this, and you could still be held accountable. Maybe it's good that our U.S. soldiers are thinking about these things. No?
No.
You're so...
It could never happen.
There could be theoretically.
He said no. Here's my question. So my next question.
I'll answer your question.
Next question. Wait, Donald Trump. I just wanted to just be clear. Then you can say even more if you want. Donald Trump pardoned some of the only people ever convicted in U.S. history of seditious conspiracy that were trying to help him overturn an election. Right? You acknowledge that Donald Trump literally pardoned all of those people, right?
Were those actually charges? Seditious conspiracy?
They were convictions. Yes, on seditious conspiracy.
Convictions of. It was seditious. Which people were convicted?
The 12. You don't even fucking know. Holy shit! What do you even do? What do you read? What is your Twitter feed? Is it Elon Musk just fucking whatever random right-wing conservative news down your throat every morning?
I wasn't. I know Enrico Tara got very serious charges. I just wasn't sure it was seditious conspiracy.
It was.
Okay. Right. So you acknowledge Donald Trump pardoned all of them of seditious conspiracy. It was the only time people. It might have been.
Why is that a problem?
I don't know. I'm just curious. You say sedition is really bad. You think sedition is like one of the worst things that could ever possibly happen? And Donald Trump has now demonstrated that if you commit a seditious conspiracy, but it's to help Donald Trump maintain power, that he'll reward you for it. He'll pardon you for those charges ultimately.
No, that's a reward. That's not a reward. It's simply he said, I'm not going to let you face punishment.
Not being in jail for 20 years is not a reward.
No, what I'm saying is I think that he looked at all those prosecutions as if they were persecutions.
Okay, so how does that change what I said? So maybe you could commit sedition as long as it was for Trump, because he'll think it's always been a persecution, and either Trump or the Republicans will bail you out.
Oh, I don't think they committed sedition. That's what I was talking about.
Quite frank, I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't even fucking know the fucking charges. I know you're not familiar with the fucking indictments. You have no fucking idea what any of these guys even did, clearly. And it doesn't, to be frank, it doesn't. I'm sorry, but it doesn't really matter what you think, because a jury of peers disagreed with you and they were convicted. So it doesn't really matter, okay? So how could people think, if they were pardoned of seditious conspiracy, wouldn't that be like the number one green light to commit sedition? If you know the president of the United States is going to bail you out if you do it and somebody tries to hold you accountable for it, more than 6 random Congress people saying something about don't ignore unlawful orders?
Your question is that by him pardoning someone for sedition, that the impact of that is that people will engage in sedition confident that even if they get convicted, Trump will pardon them.
Yes.
Is that, and where lay out how this would actually unfold.
Well, maybe somebody might try to. Maybe somebody I can lay it out. Maybe somebody like Tina Peters might try to help rig an election and think that she's doing the right thing the whole time. Maybe somebody like Mike Lindell might do things to try to help people win an election in defamatory ways. Maybe Fox News or people at that news network might try to help him win an election in defamatory ways that would help them be civilly liable, because they see that as long as Trump wins, he'll forgive them of everything. Like Ashley Babbitt her family was awarded some multi-million-dollar payout, even though she clearly was breaking the law and clearly got shot for justifiable reasons. Or maybe he'll pardon everybody or give you some other kind of payout. Somebody else was just given a big payout from the fucking federal government who was involved with, I would argue, seditious stuff. Like, how do you not see this as being a direct, when you literally have a lot of the J6ers that were convicted literally said they were there because they thought Donald Trump would save them. Like, this has actually happened. It's not a hypothetical. It's actually happened.
The point to that last part was. But so I'm not sure even why you're asking this question, other than to say that there could be a ramification from him issuing a pardon, that now because he issued a pardon, other people will commit sedition in the future to try and help him. Is that the point you're trying to get to?
It's the most toothless way of reforming my point, and you've removed so much from it that, yeah, you're about to say something really stupid like, oh, should all pardons be made illegal now?
You're so bad at guessing what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's usually dumber than even I can fathom. Go ahead.
Let him speak. Yeah, go
ahead. I thought you were good at this.
I thought you were a lawyer.
Is it possible that it can have that impact? Sure,
that wasn't my question. It's already had that impact. People have already committed crimes with the expectation that Trump would be there to save them, and he did.
That's pretty wild.
That they said that?
So you're saying, no, that's pretty wild that you're saying in 2020, when he's the outgoing president, that they're going out there and that they're going to engage in sedition, which, frankly, you named one person, Enrico Tarrio, who you're saying was convicted of seditious conspiracy, and I'll assume that that's correct, that he actually was. But the thousands of people who were there, they were not charged with seditious conspiracy.
Because they weren't plotting and planning ahead of time like these guys were, like the Oath Keepers were, and like the Proud Boys were.
So what I'm saying is, you're talking about one person here who was found guilty of engaging in seditious conspiracy.
It was dozens. Well, the people that were, I think it was only 12 for the seditious.
You gave me Enrico Tarrio. Yeah, that's why. But
it was the people. Well, there were at least 4 other oath keepers that were convicted. I'm pretty sure in the initial batch there were like 7 or 8 people.
You agree with me though that the 1,000 or so roughly convictions, all the 1,000, the hordes of people that he commuted their sentence. They were not charged with seditious conspiracy, right?
No, it was Enrico Tarrio, Joseph Briggs, Zachary Real, Ethan Nordine, Stuart Rhodes, Kelly Meggs, and we can keep going. But it was a bunch of people. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, as far as the people who expected him to save them when they're doing something illegal, was it those dozen people? Or
it was everybody that marched. Everybody that marched on the Capitol.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, a few weeks before, he said, "Proud Boys, stand back and stand by." Yeah, those people. We're talking about those people.
Well, but everybody that went to the Capitol expected Trump would bail them out, which he did.
He did or didn't?
He did.
He did, but he
pardoned all of them.
He didn't until 2025.
Well, they thought he was going to win the election in 2020. That's what they were there for, was to help coup the election.
No one thought that. No one thought that.
No one thought what?
Nobody thought that. No one thought that was going to happen.
Wait. Why were they protesting on January 6th? Wait. Why were they protesting on the day of January 6th?
They were trying to forestall in order for there to be a count.
But you're telling me that they're going there. Count for what? What would they count have done?
No, they wanted him to win. But you're telling me that they went in there marching, expecting that they were going to be successful and that he's going to save them?
Correct.
That's pretty stupid. That's so stupid. The reason it's so stupid is because there's 2 possibilities. They're successful, in which case he's president and they're not charged. Or they're unsuccessful, in which case he's not president and they're charged and he's not there to save them. So what I'm saying is, your whole premise here as to what their expectations were is illogical. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It totally makes sense because you're assuming that the only way you could be saved from a prosecution is via a pardon, but the fact that if he were to win as president, they just wouldn't be charged, period, seems to hold a lot of water. They would just not have been charged. Also, the fact that when he was elected president later, he pardoned them regardless.
If that was his objective, and they were banking on that, why didn't he pardon them before they were even charged on January 19th?
He might not have known that he could. Well, at that point, he probably just didn't give a fuck. He didn't give a fuck about any of them. He didn't win his shit. He got fucking grumpy and dumpy, and he packed up all his bullshit to go to Mar-a-Lago, and he fucking left.
So you're saying he didn't care about them, but now you're saying that he did care about them.
I never said he did or didn't care about them. The argument, very clearly, try to keep track of it. The argument is whether or not his actions.
You keep waffling,
it's not.
So
It's super. I'm being crystal clear. Let me do this one more time, and I can downgrade it to second grade language if that's what you need. Okay. If the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump has conducted himself. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump conducts himself and his policy in a way that encourages people to break the law on his behalf, up to and including things like seditious conspiracy. People did break the law on his behalf, including seditious conspiracy, and he did pardon those people for doing crimes up to and including seditious conspiracy. And the people that were convicted while they were in court were saying things like, "I was here and did this because Donald Trump told me to be."
And the point that you're getting at here is therefore, because we'll come back to the premise. Therefore, the seditious 6 is what we launch this whole thing. Therefore, they're okay with basically weakening our military.
I don't think they're weakening.
That's your point.
I don't think that our military, keeping in mind that they can't follow unlawful orders from a president who is using the military against his own fucking population, his own citizenry, I think it's totally fine for them to keep that in mind, and I would hope they would. The response that you should have, and the reason why you fascist fucks don't have this response, your response should be, oh, they're telling us to follow the law, LOL, who cares? Trump doesn't issue any unlawful orders. Easy, boom. And then just go on to the next thing. But the reason why you're so worried about it is because you know that he's issued a ton of fucked up commands. You know that murdering those civilians off the coast of Venezuela was fucked up. And you know that using the military against your own fucking citizens is insanely fucked up. And if Obama did it, you would already be dead from a heart attack, or your head would have fucking exploded, and you would already be off this planet. There's no way you guys would have survived Obama forcibly deploying the National Guard against his own citizens against the will of the governors.
Okay. I have to
sorry, I'm done.
Use the restroom. Be good for like the.
Oh my God, chaos is going to ensue.
No, please don't. Please, no slurs. I will be right back. But good logic. I'm going to give you the mic.
I'll try to dial back the slurs while you're gone. Yeah. What were you saying?
So we were talking about how you're kind of forgiving every single thing Trump does, and if we want to recenter this,
I'm not forgiving everything he does.
Just most of it, or all of it, or lubing it up.
What I'm saying is no, because you have to deal with a practical perspective. Do you not appreciate the fact that if you're sitting in the military, you basically they're trying to talk to the military, telling them what to do. You're agreeing with that. So if they're telling the military what to do, now let's put that into practical effect.
They're repeating what's already law. They're repeating the law. Say that. They're repeating the law.
In the context of he's issuing illegal orders.
They're repeating the law.
Which is saying. No, they're not. They're not simply repeating the law.
Okay, can we imagine a hypothetical world where you think that President Obama has done something illegal and someone tells someone else that I think he's done something illegal and you don't follow like illegal orders? Is this like a possible good faith thing that someone
They
could
already
do?
did it with the assassination overseas. They just did it earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is that something? Let's take the assassination overseas. Let's assume that was illegal, right? Like if you reminded someone in the military that this was illegal, would that be like sedition?
Why don't we have a productive conversation, a little more productive, by not making it less personal, and we'll just deal with President X, who's the president in 2050. Right. What we want to happen in that President X, and it could be Republican or it could be Democrat. We don't know. What is a healthy way to proceed in this particular scenario?
Pat Buchanan is about to do something extrajudicial, and you and I both believe that. Is it seditious for us to remind people of the military that this is an illegal order?
That's dangerous. I think that's very dangerous.
So we can't criticize
our president. Does
president.
anything annoying, we can't criticize it.
Jesus
that's the standard you're setting right now.
I want you to just think about this for a second. I mean, let's pretend it's President Democrat. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Now I want you to just pretend for a second that now you have people. Now you have Republican Senator X and Republican Senator Y who are coming out there now and basically saying he's issuing unconstitutional orders. You need to disregard them. Now, these orders may or may not be unconstitutional. It's purely an opinion that's coming from Republican X, Republican Y. So he's now basically trying to co-opt the military from under the control of President Democrats.
Okay. No, I understand you're describing the reality of the situation right now in ways that I don't necessarily agree with. I'm asking you, if the president does do something unconstitutional, or you just think he does, and maybe the court wouldn't find it, can you criticize him?
I think it can be criticized 100%.
By saying it's unconstitutional.
But there's a difference between criticizing. There's a difference between you going online, Destiny going online and criticizing the president. He should do it until he's blue in the face, and I'm sure he does. But there's nothing remotely wrong with that. There's a very different thing from someone who's in Congress talking to the military, addressing the military. That's not remotely the same. Your role is not the same. My role as a podcaster, your roles as podcasters, that's not remotely the same as some congressman who's talking to members of the military. You both recognize that.
Okay, no, hold on. To be clear, not only do I not recognize this legally, you're just dead in the fucking wrong. There's the whole speech and debate clause. If they went on the floor of Congress, they could say the most unhinged shit possible, and you wouldn't be able to convict them of crimes. This is an imaginary standard that you've set up that you would never, ever tolerate if it was directed at your side.
Speech and debate clause only applies when you're addressing Congress on the floor of Congress.
That's why I said when you're on the floor of Congress.
But does not apply when you're making a video directed at the military.
That's why I said that's why I said when they're on the floor of Congress.
So then it's not relevant. Why are you bringing it up?
Because people go on the floor of Congress and say crazy shit. Hello, welcome to Nancy Mace. When she made all the accusations against her fucking ex-partner, she did it when she was on the floor of Congress. Welcome. That's on TV. You can address other people when you're on the floor of Congress.
Question was not. Do we agree that the adding question was not an address to Congress? Correct?
The what?
It's not addressed to Congress.
The adding question where they went on, they made an ad. And
no, it's not. But I'm saying that like Congress people enjoy.
Why are you bringing it up?
I'm bringing it up because you're trying to say. I'm bringing it up because you're trying to say that like these people have an even greater obligation not to violate their First Amendment rights. And what I'm telling you is they have even more leeway than an average U.S. citizen is. I don't even know if you could convict somebody for fucking conspiracy to murder if you're giving a speech on the floor of Congress. They enjoy broad freedom of speech rights. So the idea that this video would count as seditious conspiracy is a joke.
No, that is the most ridiculous argument I've heard in quite some time.
Okay.
Just because there is a special rule on the speech and debate clause which enables Congress to vigorously argue with each other where they have protections from their speech does not mean that they have a right to go and address the military and go in to stand before an entire unit and stand there and tell them do not follow the president's orders.
Wait, who addressed the military before a unit? Were there soldiers present when they were recording this shit?
You're saying they're special people. They get to talk and say whatever they want. And what I'm saying is their role is not the same as yours or mine.
It was recorded, would you have the same argument, or would you say it's fine?
What I'm saying is what Senator Gallego did is just as bad.
Can you answer my question? If the video had not been a video, but rather a recording on the congressional floor, would it have been okay?
I just answered your question.
Well, you didn't give a yes or no, so it didn't sound like
yes, it would be just as bad because Senator Gallego did the same thing.
Okay, so then why are you arguing that like, oh, well, here it's fine. Actually, no, it would also be just as bad. Just say, I would never say it's okay if any single member of Congress ever questions the president's authority.
That's not what I said. I said
they can't call it unconstitutional. They can call it unconstitutional, but they can't remind them that they are not supposed to follow.
What I'm saying is you cannot address the military, say he's issuing unconstitutional orders. Your duty is to disregard.
Nobody said these. They said your duty is to follow the law. It's to ignore unlawful orders. Is there any way?
Okay.
I'm curious.
Your duty is to disregard.
So you have orders that you must disregard? Does Trump issue unlawful orders?
Oh, that's obviously something subjective. Because
then it shouldn't be a problem,
one judge
right?
says no, another judge says yes. No, that's exactly the problem. That's why it's so dangerous. Because you have one judge saying it's unconstitutional, another one saying it's not. This guy's sitting in the freaking cockpit deciding, do I press this button or not? And this is Larkin says, I better not do it, otherwise I'm going to be prosecuted. That is really manifestly dangerous. That is weakening our military. That is what you're advocating for, and you're trying to whitewash.
Then why do we have this law? Then why do we have this law at all? Then why do we have this law at all? Why do we have this law at all? But excuse me, fuck you. What's sick and disgusting is the fact that the president of the United States is deploying the military that he knows that he can't do. You keep saying he's following the law. Well, then why was he complaining about not being able to do it with Minnesota when all of BLM was going? And he knows he's fucking breaking the law. The disgusting thing is using your own fucking military. What do you mean? What part do I need to professional? What other thing do you not know about? Tell me. I can educate you. Since apparently you know fucking anything.
Also,
it's not on fucking Twitter for
you're
you.
In Minnesota now. Also, you're in Minnesota
because
now.
Donald Trump had issues during the BLM riots where he was complaining that the governors wouldn't authorize him to deploy the National Guard to their states because he knew he didn't have the authority to do it. That was his main argument during J6 was that he couldn't deploy the National Guard to the Capitol because Nancy Pelosi or whatever fucking person at the time he wanted to blame for his incompetence.
Consistently followed the law.
Oh, so what changed then? What law changed? What law changed between now and January 6th and 2021? That allows him now to deploy the National Guard. So why didn't he just deploy the National Guard immediately then, if he could always do it? Another pivot. He's thinking of the pivot up right now. He's thinking it. He knows he fucked up.
No, I didn't understand your question.
Donald Trump said that he couldn't deploy the National Guard because Bowser said something or whatever. The mayors, whatever. He said he couldn't do it. Why can he do it now? What changed between now and then?
Location.
I'm sorry. I might be a fucking. Is the Capitol?
You obviously are a retard because there's a big difference between District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. as a city proper and the capital itself. Those are two different things. Those are two completely different things. So when you're sitting there saying like, "Oh, it's
I'm so sorry because my geography is horrible."
Is location.
Is the capital in Washington D.C.?
Yeah, but he doesn't have authority there. The final authority there actually goes to the Speaker of the House. Which is why ultimately Nancy Pelosi's. You need approval. He needed approval there.
You're so wrong. You're just a fucking liar. How are you so insane on this? Holy shit. You're telling me that the ultimate police force of the Congress, of the U.S. Federal Congress, is not the U.S. Federal National Guard or police? They can't. It's not them. It rests with the Speaker of the fucking House. A political position here?
Yes. And also, where did these guys get shot? Do you know?
Wasn't it outside?
In DC.
Wasn't it right outside the? Where was it though?
Farragut West Metro.
No, wait.
I think it was I-17th. I think it was I-17th in DC.
Was it at the Capitol?
They weren't at the Capitol.
I thought weren't they right outside the White House?
But they're not in the Capitol.
So you think he could deploy the National Guard?
Why are we actually having this conversation?
Because you don't believe this. Because you know, the point is that he knew in the past it was illegal. He complained during BLM that the governors wouldn't acquiesce to him using the National Guard. Right. Now he's doing it without the governors even consenting. So what changed?
There's three different contexts. You just use National Guard as if this is like, as if using National Guard
Stop
here for this reason or that reason are the same. I'm not obfuscating.
I understand there are reasons why. You could do it in times of rebellion or coups. You could do it in times of enemy invasion. You could do it in times of great national crises. In the BLM, yes. I already said that. In the BLM era, which would have been way more of an insurrection than whatever the fuck he thinks is going on now. In the BLM era, he complained. I don't know if he called it this time either. In the BLM era,
he specifically did.
He declared
an insurrection. He basically declared there to be an uprising.
Stop. What do you mean?
That was the statute he relied on.
Explain to me legally. What does it mean to basically do something? That sounds like code speak for didn't do something. Did he declare formally? He declared an insurrection in California?
In his executive order. This is exactly what Judge Breyer was arguing about, whether or not he had the authority to make that declaration in California. That's exactly what that's what they're debating. Does he have the authority to do that unilaterally? Does he have to go through Congress to do that? That's exactly what all these issues, the legal issues, which are complicated, which have been going back and forth between whether you're on district court level or you're on the circuit court level or the Supreme Court level. That's why it's very, very confusing. This is not a simple area.
So what was it? Well, apparently it's only problematic for Donald Trump. It is simple. It's not simple because you're having to engage in the literal mental gymnastics Olympics.
One thing that is simple is he cannot send the National Guard into the Capitol because the Capitol Police are under the jurisdiction of the Speaker of the House.
That's not even true. That's not even true. It's not fucking factual. Then your local security somehow overrides the jurisdiction of the National Guard of the DC Police.
The reason for that. The reason the law is written that way. I understand that you don't like to think about how laws actually work, but there's logic behind it.
The basically guy.
Yeah, you don't like to think about it's not basically, it's reality. The reality is that if you have police force A and all of a sudden police force B come in there and they don't have communication between each other, that creates a dangerous situation. In order to have that, the normal authority police have to approve and say, yes, it's okay for you to come in here. Otherwise, you can literally have police shooting at each other, which makes it more dangerous than if the new police force doesn't come in there. So that's why you have to have that coordination, and that's why ultimately Nancy Pelosi was the final call within the grounds of the Capitol. That's why there's all this testimony about these people who are desperately calling Nancy, let us in, and she's ducking for an hour and a half. So now you want to sit here.
I agree with I want that whole thing to be clipped, and that is the answer to this debate. You just said that if you bring in a police force that doesn't cooperate with the local authorities, you make no effort to do so, it creates an environment and a situation that is more dangerous than it would be otherwise, which is exactly what Donald Trump has done with his deployment of the National Guard to every single fucking state, which was exactly the argument that we made at the outset of this. And I like how you didn't realize how fucked you were, because you made the same exact argument on January 6th because the shoe was on the other fucking foot.
Awesome.
You're such an unbelievable hypocrite. It's unbelievable to me.
Awesome. What you're asking now is the first intelligent question you've asked. That's the strongest, most logical question you've asked. And here's the observation that's the best point you've made so far.
No.
And the obvious difference. No, it's the first really good point you made. And the reason you're mistaken, the reason you're so grossly mistaken, is because when he declares this situation in D.C. proper, he has the authority there that he does not have inside the grounds of the Capitol. He doesn't have that in Chicago. He has it in D.C. Now, when he goes out in California, what he's doing in California, he's not trying to police and patrol the area. And when you're talking about in California, there he's using the National Guard for a completely different purpose, to protect ICE, because the Democrats have helped basically amp up the rhetoric, or their own side, that they should get violence stand in the way of federal
They weren't
vehicles,
amping up the rhetoric. They were just trolling. They were just trolling, LOL.
Yeah, they're trolling by
also, what is this thing? What do you think? What do you think? Trolling? Yeah, they're trolling. Yeah, like when Donald Trump tweets out pictures of we're coming to Chicago with the Department of War. What are you citing to? What are you implying when you say that the National Guard can't do when he does? Stop saying you don't like when he does that. Why? It is the most tepid criticism I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't like when he does that. He's inflaming the rhetoric and he's causing situations like what just happened when National Guardsmen are getting fucking shot. That's what he's doing.
That's not inflaming the rhetoric. You're saying, because he says because he throws out some meme about dropping
some fucking meme. Go fuck yourself. You're so fucking retarded. I can't even believe it's so unbelievable. It's some fucking meme. You treat Donald Trump like an actual fucking retard. I can treat other people how you want to be treated. Maybe that's the whole fucking point here.
I do want to good logic. Finish your point, please.
When he's dropping a meme, if you think that is what's riling up the left, that's what gets them started. Not the last 12 years of screaming about how he's a fascist, he's a danger, he's going to kill us all, and he hates trans people and homosexuals and women. He's misogynist.
He is. Yeah, these are all things. Yeah, can't say truth statements.
All that stuff. All that stuff, that's not what makes people angry and hate him. It's because he sent out a video of him flying a plane and dropping loads of crap on Harry Sisson. That's why they're so angry.
Just remember, when we talked about how horrible the seditious six are, when you talked about how horrible the seditious six was, we had to take that in context of everything else. But when Donald Trump does it, it's a discrete tweet that he could never possibly fucking control, and we always have to see it as just a little minor case of discrete trolling, and we can't apply the context to anything else. But when the seditious six tell you to follow the orders that are already part of the fucking military, now we got to talk about context.
The question I have, real quick. The question I have for you, good logic. You say you don't like it when President Trump tweets out things like we're bringing the Department of War to Chicago. Can you explain why you don't like that? What is wrong with that in your view?
Like you care about the Constitution and try. Yeah. Sorry, I'm done.
You seriously are so bad at guessing which direction I'm going. It's weird.
I think I guessed last time. That's why you gave an even more retarded answer. Or like this thing of like the National Guard can't go into the Capitol. What AI was that? ChatGPT or was that Grok Law or where the fuck did that thing come from?
I don't want him to issue threats.
Just answer which question.
Okay, you don't want him to issue threats.
I want him to act. Because that's what a leader does. A leader acts. A leader doesn't have to issue threats.
So wait, your
problem leader doesn't have to say this.
Them warning, he should have just done it.
No, what I'm saying is he should do what he's supposed to do and he's legally allowed to do in order to help take care of a situation. Talking about it doesn't benefit anyone. That's why I don't like it. Do you think that
perhaps talking about it and making these kinds of threats, as your words, might lead to an inflamed situation. Like if I were to receive a threat, if like Destiny there was like, hey, Wick, I'm going to dox you, right? In memes about doxing me. Do you think it would be something that might cause me to act in different ways than I otherwise normally would do so? Because, hey, this guy has some power, he's got some influence, he's much bigger than me, he's threatening me with something. Even if he's just memeing, it might cause me to take certain actions that I otherwise wouldn't.
I don't think that the left acts in accordance with what Trump does.
So you don't think that anything that Trump does affects what the left? There's no response.
What I'm saying is no. What I'm saying is I don't think that there's any more likely to listen to something that he says than something that I say.
What
the same way my audience will sit here looking at Destiny as if for the joke that he is, and they don't take anything he says seriously. I'm almost with you, Twirly.
No, because you're completely off the question.
What I'm saying is, no, you're asking a question as to the influence that he has when he says something else.
Saying no.
So you're saying we're talking. What impact is
that?
that having on what influence is that having on the left getting violent? No, I don't believe that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, if Donald Trump said, I'm going to go to this city and I'm going to go door to door and murder every Democrat, do you think any person on the left would respond to that violently?
I think that every person on the right would be yelling at him that he shouldn't be saying that.
That's not my question. I asked if Donald Trump could do something that would cause the left to be more violent.
Can't compute.
I can't
asking
believe
for,
you are
asking for criticism of Donald Trump. Does not understand question.
Okay.
Cannot compute. Does not understand.
Probably. Is it 1% or 90% probably?
I have no idea.
You're such a fucking coward, dude. Like,
Okay.
this is the easiest question. I don't know why.
What is 1%, 90% mean? You know what I mean? You're not even asking a logical
You know what
question.
Question:
numbers are?
If Donald Trump were to punch Donald Trump would punch a 1-year-old in the face, would it be bad?
No, anyone punching a 1-year-old in the face would be bad.
You can't even just say yes to that. It has to be anyone. Donald Trump.
I have to tell you something. I'm thrilled to hear two people on the left who are sitting here saying it's bad to hurt children. I think that's a wonderful day we reached. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's a beautiful thing we got.
Women to be banned.
No, I think that you stand up for maps. I think that you're okay. I think you're okay with poisoning the minds of children into confusing them.
Like the head pedophile of the state right now, buddy. You really don't have ground to stand.
Okay. Oh, we've come to the time of it's time for closing statements. Let's say that. I am going to be streaming. If you guys want to stay for call-ins or whatever, you may. But I want to make sure that the people here get a chance to have closing arguments. Closing thoughts, and I got links to all these people in my YouTube description. They can tell you where they can find you, etc. Yeah, here we are. We're gonna let Logic have the last word, so we're gonna start with Soy Pill, go to Destiny, then Logic, and then
I had a whole argument set up here. We never got to it. The National Guard troops should not have been there. There's a reason why judges are saying that he's violating posse comitatus. Why was it Briggs Cobbs is saying that this is not a legal deployment. And the whole idea that this is a necessary action, that the crime is so rampant, is ridiculous. I mean, you look at what people are saying. You look at the stats. The crime is at like a 30-year low. This was not some sort of we need to do this because these cities are out of control. He's doing this because he wants to gain power and he wants to have influence in these cities and he wants to have some sort of executive branch that lets him do what the law enforcement is supposed to do. It's clearly a power grab. It's an authoritarian action by Trump. And yeah, therefore it is his fault for putting people who shouldn't have been here in places where they didn't need to be, where people in the National Guard and other generals warned him and said, hey, this is going to amp up the rhetoric. This is going to put them in harm's way. This does not need to happen. They all were telling him this before he did it, and he did it anyway, and then something violent happens. No, it's not Trump's fault that a crazy guy got a gun and walked up to someone and shot them, but this never would have happened if he didn't do these orders. They didn't need to be there. It's his fault in the same way that you could say, oh yeah, it's not someone's fault for going to a frat party and getting assaulted. Sure. But if they said, I don't want to go. And then you said, well, you know what? I'm going to force you to go. And I just dropped a bunch of fucking Viagra and all the punch bowl. It's a little bit your fucking fault. So it's ridiculous. And the fact that you couldn't even admit to the most benign of all things, which was, hey, Does Donald Trump at least have some culpability if he were to say, I'm going to kill every Democrat in a state, and you said probably? That's the closest you can get to admitting anything is probably. And you can't even assign a weight to it. Is it 1%? Is it 90%? I don't know, maybe. But when you look at this fucking like video from the Seditious Six, it's like, no, this is clearly a seditious act. They should be prosecuted. In fact, I agree with Trump. They should be hanged. It's so fucking cowardly, but at least you stayed to
I didn't say that.
grift.
I don't think that's true.
At least you stayed to do your little grift. The other guy ran away because he knew he would actually have to answer a question. So thanks for that. This was embarrassing.
Well, gang, if you like Soy Pill, go check them out. Links in the channel. Destiny, please.
This is just a deeply unserious conversation. I look forward to the next election whenever the Democrats are back in power and all of a sudden conservatives rediscover their love for freedom of speech and limitation on executive powers. There's a reason why Bill Barr was considered one of the most right-wing attorney generals of all time, why he resigned under Donald Trump with days left in the administration. There's a reason why Donald Trump didn't run with the same vice presidents, because he wanted the last one to get fucking killed when he was calling people to the Capitol to not change the outcome of the election, but apparently, according to good logic, just call for some investigation into some voter fraud that they'd already done and nothing had been found that would change the outcome of the election. Donald Trump has pardoned every single person around him, including people that had no business even getting pardoned, people that were committing seditious conspiracy on his behalf, people that were obstructing investigations on his behalf, like Roger Stone. And then he's targeted political opponents in ways that no prior administration ever has. At least Good Logic's friend was good faith enough to admit that. I think he realized that just showing up with a little fucking lawyer tag and not knowing any fucking law whatsoever wasn't going to be enough to get his retarded ass through this debate, which, props to that guy for at least being smart enough to realize he needed to walk the fuck out of the Thunderdome because he was not ready for the Kaya shocks that were coming here. Okay. And I hope that, when the next Democratic president steps in and he starts flexing that criminal immunity, when he starts realizing that the executive branch can target and kill and do whatever the fuck they want, as long as they listen to a court eventually, I hope that Republicans are as excited to defend that as they have been to defend Donald Trump.
Okay. If you guys like what Destiny has to say, you can find a link to him if for whatever reason you don't already have it. It's in my YouTube description. Finally, last word from Good Logic, please. Go ahead.
I didn't come here prepared to flex a fourth grade vocabulary. So I apologize, those of you who were looking for me to jump down into that ring. At the end of the day, the most significant thing that came out of this is a recognition from both of my adversaries over here that what the Seditious Six did in that video is they made members of the military potentially question their activities when they're in the midst of a heated moment for actions that actually may ultimately prevail as being totally constitutional and thereby made for a more dangerous situation. I do not think they should be hanged for that. I think that Trump is speaking passionately when he says that, and he says that it's treason, they should be hanged. I don't think that that's the appropriate punishment for them. I do think that Mark Kelly should be court-martialed and stripped of his commission, and I think that he should be forced out in disgrace. And I think that to the extent that there was a conspiracy here to try and harm our military, I think that weakens life for all Americans. We take our military for granted, and when you have our own congressmen and women sitting there trying to undermine them and have them questioning their own actions when they're taking it, that creates a very dangerous situation. With respect to the question of the main topic at hand, I think that Trump did everything he could legally to get him out. He's not a fascist, which is why he didn't simply remove all the Afghanis, and that's why this gentleman was here to commit those heinous acts. And frankly, I said it would be much easier. I don't want him to be more of a fascist, but life would be much easier for him if he was the fascist that you're always claiming him to be. And I think it's a good thing that he's not that fascist, but he's dealing with a mess that has been baked in here purposefully by the Democrats under Biden, that they brought in all these Afghanis, they brought in millions of illegal aliens, and every step he's been taking to try and make our country safer and safer, they literally will stand in front of federal vehicles and try and go and run to one courthouse after another trying to stop him from taking steps. And the only reaction that the left have is, oh my God, we might lose some criminal illegal alien, be forced to be sent back home, which is horrific and shocking that people actually still take that position. But I guess if it works for you, go with it. I appreciate that at some point here we had moments of actual conversation, and hopefully in the future, if we actually debate each other, we can dial back the juvenile, you're stupid, idiot, foul language, and actually just engage in discourse. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, an alternative perspective, I urge you to check me out. It's Good Logic. You can find me on YouTube, on Rumble, and on X under that name, Good Logic.
Check him out. I got a link to his channel. You guys are free to stay if you like. We got some callers, but if you need to go, I understand. You're. I'm not Hamas. I'm not going to hold you hostage, right? So.
I said I'd give you 2 hours, which we're kind of hitting up against.
Yeah, we are.
Wait, can I ask a quick single answer question for Good Logic?
Go for it, Destiny.
When it comes to enforcing executive stuff in the executive branch, so things like vetting people that come over, Who does the buck stop with?
President.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, thank you again for coming. I do appreciate you. Unfortunately, I don't think Bronca knew what he was getting into, right? Maybe he should have watched a little.
To be clear, that guy's Twitter feed is fucking unhinged. The guy thought that he could show up and throw around a few legal terms. The guy doesn't fucking know anything about anything, especially international law. And the idea that going to law school in the United States would privy you to some understanding of international law is a fucking joke. The reason why that guy dipped the fuck out is because a pussy-ass bitch, and he knew that he was going to get fucking roasted here because it's probably the first challenging conversation this fucking retard's ever had his entire fucking life.
He would destroy you.
Clear,
in a properly moderated
Where was he?
He would utterly
proper
destroy.
moderation? What? Where somebody's here to handhold him through the entire fucking conversation because he can't make a point?
What I'm saying is, where you actually when he's arguing with people who are adult, and I've seen him argue with people who are adult enough to not say you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're a child, F you. So in that environment, he's actually a pit bull. He just doesn't. He's not
a pit
it's
bull
not worth his
when
time
he's
and
around
effort.
weaker people.
Yes.
That's what you just said around other people that are too mean.
That's
to tell
not
them out. Unbelievable. You guys are the debate profession, litigators, right?
It's sad that you think that makes you stronger. It's very sad.
Oh, like the president of the United States conducts himself constantly?
Because
it was just a little bit of trolling. I was trolling. It was me. It was
I'm not ready for blood sports. That's on me.
It was trolling. It was trolling. I was just meaning. It was
And
trolling.
also, Wick, his pinned tweet is
I'm not upset with
migrate
you.
everyone right now. So, like, I don't think that he's exactly some person who's allergic to blood sports. He clearly knows the game. He's just
but it's not being bad at it, saying I'm not going to be talked down to me. There's a difference between arguing points versus arguing ad hominem, and that's all. And he's not going to do that.
Yeah, so when I call someone out for not answering a question, that's talking down to them?
No, when you're basically saying that F you, you're an effing retard dick sucker, that's talking down to them.
I said that to you. I didn't say that to him right away. In fact, he left when I said you're not answering the question, so it didn't require that level of ad hominem to get him out.
You didn't let him finish his answer. There's a certain level of respect. What I'm saying is...
What do you think about the level... Wait, one more quick question.
Hold on, stop. I did mute Soy Pill so he could finish his answer, but then he left anyway.
What do you think about the level of respect Donald Trump showed the reporter that he called stupid because she asked him a difficult question?
It wasn't a difficult question.
It is within his purview to say
You're
that.
such a... I can't believe you. Holy shit.
Okay.
What?
Either way, yeah. Okay. I do got super chats too. So if you
Quiet, Peggy.
Thank you. Right. I'll
Take
read the
care.
super chats.
I thank you for having me, and I'll come back here. I'll do this again with Destiny or others, whatever it is. That's fine. But I do think that, and I want to be clear here, Wick. I wasn't looking to put you down for your moderation because I'm fine with it. And frankly, I think there's sometimes you even quiet them down. I didn't even need you to quiet them down. I think you were particularly trying to make sure that I wasn't going to get overrun, and I definitely appreciate that. I'm not questioning your moderation, but I do think he was expecting a different nature of discourse.
Next time being anything other than a Trump cum-filled water balloon, and maybe we can have a real conversation about things.
All right. So you see, this even now, as I'm walking out, you still have to just throw
a little
out
bit
the
of trolling.
expletives.
It's trolling. We're just trolling. It's trolling. LOL.
That's fine.
It's just
no,
trolling.
that's fine. But it's
LOL.
It's not actually showing anything other than you're able to appeal to 17-year-olds.
Oh, is that what Donald Trump does? Or you mean fuck 17-years?
Which I don't know. Maybe
or was it 15 or 14? I don't remember all that.
Maybe I was going to say maybe appealing to 15
you guys
17-years
go
is
long
right.
as
Your
you want.
thing.
The show's over,
Maybe that's
right?
your thing, Destiny. Maybe appealing to 15 17-year-olds is your thing, Destiny. I don't know.
The difference is I don't lose my civil cases like Trump lost his. We're raping that one woman. What was it, Eugene Carroll? But we don't like those court cases, right? We don't like those ones.
I thank you all for joining me. It was great.
I do appreciate. I really want to say thank you for staying. I do appreciate that. So thank you.
Take care, Wick. Have a great night.
Okay, let's read these super chats and we'll get some callers. Okay, $100 from Grassroots Hegemon. Thank you for the $100.
Wait, before you read a single one, can I predict, is one of them going to call me or Destiny gay?
I hope so.
Well, I guess if we'll find out. I guess
whichever one, give me 50% of that one.
Okay,
Ooh.
sure. $100 from Grassroots Hegemon to say more open bribery to get a wrench with which I will do nothing. I will get a blue wrench marriage if required. I'm not going to give you a mod for paying me money. I keep trying though. Like who knows? Maybe with enough money I'll change my mind. We'll find out. $10 from Flaming Pie 6494. Destiny is using violent events to try to manipulate Republicans into shrinking away from enforcing borders, immigration laws, deportations, and basically kicking the left's ass on the daily. Your game is obvious. You want to respond to that?
Well, Trump's popularity is at historic fucking lows. Like, I hope you can get a refund on all the fucking Trump gear that you bought when you're going to be embarrassed to walk around with it because of how much of a fucking loser this guy is, and all of his supporters are going to be viewed that way. Although I already know you're probably going to be one of those people who is on Twitter, in 4 years saying, "Oh, I never supported this guy."
Okay. $50 from Grassroots Hegemon. If I can press any information into anyone, including both these lawyers, it's that sedition is not a capital crime. Its maximal penalty is 20 years. Treason is a capital crime. I'd hope a lawyer would know that. Thank you.
They didn't even know that they were charged with that, which is insane to me. Like, with all the Jan 6 defending they do, and he literally didn't even know what he was charged with. Insane.
Chillhouse Mixes says, isn't it crazy that Dems told the military not to follow illegal orders, and 2 weeks later the military probably committed war crimes? $20 from Zonia. God logic, chud logic, split the difference and call him flawed logic. Thank you for $20. $5 from 1998 Cuba. Apparently, according to Andrew, quoting or citing laws or rules is a crime that deserves the death penalty. $10 from Zonia. Did the world's preeminent self-defense lawyer just run from a fight? 5 Canadian dollars from Testicle Johnson. Didn't they prove that he kept sending people to CCOT after the ruling, directly defying the courts? $5 from Grassroots.
I think the argument they would say is, so long as it keeps bouncing around courts, it's totally fine to ignore a judge until the Supreme Court rules on it, which is not where most cases go. But that was their argument.
Sure. Grassroots Hegemon for $5. Second time, sedition is not convictable with death ever. The maximum penalty is 20 years. Treason is. Sedition is not. $10 from Kanuko. Everyone in basic training is talked with specifically about unlawful orders. He is full of it. And just to let you know, yes. And also, when I spent time in the military, every 6 months to a year, we had to redo computer-based training, CBTs, on this, in which we had to officially sign off on we were not to follow unlawful orders, and they would give specific examples, and there was several categories, and we were trained on this regularly in the Air Force, at least during my time. So I don't know. $5 from my listening library to say, my monthly sacrifice to Wick. Thanks for coming on. Good logic, but I do believe that you're dodging the inflaming rhetoric point. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. We're almost done. Don't worry. $20 from Odasha. Say, please make dumb logic answer. If Trump cared about immigration, why did he shoot down the Republican-led Langford bill? He's offered 0 other legislative reform. $20 from Witch's Persona. Logic in regards to January 6th. When the colonies started fighting the Redcoats, did they expect to win against the Brits? I'm assuming they did. $50 from Pondering Politics. Wick. I'm 75 minutes behind, but both Good Logic and the other moron said it was okay for Trump to order prosecutions of his political opponents. Do they concede that if Biden ordered his DOJ to prosecute Trump, he didn't? It was his right to do so. And then finally, $5 from Overload TV. Look at Pete Hegseth's recent tweet, please. You're going to have to be more specific. And with that, let's bring on a couple callers, and we'll just get to it.
Wow, I really missed the gay prediction.
So I asked
You
what?
did.
Vanished.
Okay, we'll start with this. Okay, you're here. What do you got? What do you have for the What do you have for the panel? Go ahead.
Oh, Alice, are you the one who made the thumbnail?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that was
I
sick.
was.
Thank you for that. That was awesome. Amusing.
No
Alright,
problem.
so
I hope
one
you
of the-
enjoyed it.
One of the questions I have is for Soy and Bakery. I'm ex-United States Coast Guard, okay? Law enforcement in the Coast Guard. So when you feel that if there are survivors in the water, that you feel that maritime law is the same as land law, and it's absolutely not. It's not. We are not. It is not the same law. So you believe that if there's survivors in the water, you can still launch another airstrike from a drone?
No, I think we are saying that potentially the war crime was that they vaporized these people who were like shipwrecked and floating on pieces of wood and had no active threats, right?
Correct. They were basically on the ship, but you realize that I can't just start shooting them like fish in a barrel. If
No,
we see the ship,
I think we're agreeing.
We're on the other
with you.
side of
That's why
that.
we
Wait,
said
yeah,
this
I
was-
think.
Yeah,
okay, I'm sorry because
The
that's
people left.
the thing I think.
yeah. The stupid
Which the
people are
lawyer
gone.
is
Sorry,
on.
buddy.
Okay, the stupid people.
I don't
all right.
understand. Did we ever?
My other statement was going to be, hey, wait a minute. I took an oath to follow the UCMJ and the Constitution. That comes all the way down. So you can't, just because you're looking at the bottom person, the top person from OCS school, which is Officer Cadet School, 101, says you can't file an unlawful order. So that comes all the way down. And that's what stopped people from Trump from saying, hey, why don't we just shoot all the protesters? The military steps up and says, well, we can't
I
do
don't
that.
think anyone disagrees with you here, sir. Like, I think that we are all on the same page here that we recognize that these orders
listen,
are
Wick.
potentially unlawful.
I was losing my mind when Logic was here because I
understand.
wanted to ask him the breakfast question, and he would have failed.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for the people who are here?
Yeah. Did anybody ever prove, by the way, that the people that they were, shooting drones at arbitrarily were actually transporting any sort of illicit drugs? Anything?
Whatever you think
at
the
all?
answer to that question is, the answer is absolutely correct. No, we have no fucking evidence or proof literally of fucking any of this at all.
None.
Even senators said that they were not shown any proof
Nope.
by the Trump administration when they asked.
And even if they were,
I mean,
the prosecution should not be, I'm going to blow you up. It's, hey, let's stop this from entering our country and have some sort of process for this, not let's vaporize them and then double tap them because Hegseth said, kill them all.
I
So,
mean, I would say
matter.
you take one step towards a legal argument, but you're still at least 5 or 6 steps from even beginning to pass the threshold of being legal. But I think it's extra bad that we don't even really know who the fuck is getting killed, which is unbelievable. But yeah, even if we did, you can't. Even if they were, that's why. Even if you granted everything that guy was saying, the Coast Guard dude was correct. Even if you grant everything, even if they are enemy combatants, even if they are engaged in combatant activity against you, as soon as their ship is blown up and they're no longer capable of participating in combat actions, you can't just kill them. You can't just shoot them in the fucking water. It's like shooting down parachutes. You can't do that.
Like,
Listen,
what is the
not just
combatant?
wait,
That's what I want to know. Like, what is the combatant? Or what are they, like, shooting drugs at people? I don't get it.
It's chemical warfare against the United States. Didn't you hear?
No.
So
No.
again,
Are they
again,
forcing them
US
to take
Navy-
drugs? Are they
the Navy
forcing them,
doesn't
like,
have
forcing
authorization.
them down their throats, or what?
The Navy doesn't even have jurisdiction. They don't have jurisdiction. Only the United States Coast Guard does. That's why we
even
have
if we
detachments
hold on, this was
on the
done
Navy.
in this wasn't done in United States waters. This was done down in
It doesn't matter. It's international waters.
Yes,
The United States
international
Coast Guard
waters.
has law enforcement jurisdiction in the international waters. So that means that we have to detach Coast Guard people on Navy vessels to do law enforcement. The
Yeah, but
Navy
this
doesn't
wasn't-
have jurisdiction.
They would say this
This
isn't a
wasn't
law
law
enforcement thing. It was a military operation. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Well, they're categorizing it as that.
I
But technically,
understand
it's
that's a
not.
legal
It's law
argument.
enforcement.
You're getting riled up, but you're preaching to the choir. I don't think anyone.
Yeah,
here is.
just to be clear,
Knowledge.
and then I want to hear from Zip if Zip has anything. But just to be clear, even if we would grant the argument that these strikes are legal, as soon as you destroy their vessel, you cannot target them under
Correct.
not just international law, but the U.S. law specifically
Correct.
from the DoD's
Yes.
own manual says that shipwrecked survivors cannot be targeted.
Correct.
Why? Because unlike on land, where they could run away, flee the fight, where
They're
they might
no
still
longer,
be a
correct.
threat because their weapon systems might still be live, you've taken out their weapon system. You've destroyed their
Correct.
boat, right? They are, again, unless they have guns and are shooting at you or something, right? Then it changes.
Correct.
But if they're just bobbing out around in the water, they're not legal targets. And
That
that's
turns
the
into a rescue
question is just real quick. The question is, did Hegseth give the order to kill all the survivors? And because he gave that order, did or that guideline, if you will, did the operation commander make the call to send a second strike in order to take these people out in
Well,
order to comply with that? That's the question.
That guy
We don't know the answer yet.
stepped down. That guy stepped down the next day. He
Yep.
stepped down.
Well,
The
no,
admiral and of the
Something
South
happened
Command.
there.
it wasn't the next day. The strike was on September 2nd. The guy stepped down on October 16th. There was a second strike that day where they did take in survivors. So the timeline's a little wonky.
Yeah,
Zip,
but stepping
what do you
down
have?
the military.
Yeah,
stepping
Zip,
down
what
the
do you have?
military takes a little time. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
almost like the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
My bad.
Zip, what do you have?
My thing was more for fraud logic before you left. But it is very interesting that the two other people who were here, Andrew Branca and Good Logic, they were both they're both lawyers. They also have sworn an oath to the Constitution. It's very interesting that they seem to have such an issue with being reminded that you have an obligation to the law when you have sworn an oath to the Constitution, and even though they themselves, if you ask them, hey, do you ever, when you're doing your job, wonder about, hey, maybe is what I'm doing legal or illegal? That is not the end of the world if somebody is fucking asking that to themselves as they're doing it. Especially, you would say it's a good thing that you're doing that if you are in fact doing something illegal. It is your fucking job as a lawyer. That's why he's a fucking fraud. And the other guy probably just has brain damage from shooting too many guns next to his head.
Okay.
It's just
Well, thank you
the
guys for
lead
coming in. We're gonna
sniffing older
cycle you out.
generation.
We're
They,
going to try to get some people who have questions for Destiny and Soy Pill specifically here. But thank you for calling in.
Appreciate you, Wick.
Oh, fuck, I didn't say thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, the Coast Guard guy.
Okay. Who here has questions for Soy Pill or Destiny or challenges to their point?
Damn. I kind of wanted to talk to the lower guy, but he's not here.
Does anyone have issues or questions for Destiny or Soy Pill? Nothing. Great. Wonderful.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I mean, does anyone ever like want to ask like the really, really simple questions? He went on and on about the military should just obey every order that they're given. And it's like, okay, should all of the Nazis just, if Trump's next order is lock up all of the Jews, does he think that they should all just do that?
You're going to have to ask them. I don't know.
Their response would be that no, they should be considering these things, but they're already considering these things. The issue is that the Democrats are trying to claim, in a broader context, that all the orders are illegal. So when they tell you to ignore illegal orders, they're subtly messaging to you that you should be ignoring all orders, was their argument, basically.
Was their intention just to intentionally misinterpret that?
Pretty much.
It's there. Yeah, there's no good faith. If you're a Trump defender at this point, especially if you're a lawyer, you should always assume. I think I said that when because Soy Pill came into debate. And I
called you 30 minutes before. I was like, oh, should we have legal arguments? And the answer was clearly no.
No, these guys are always going to be fucking hacks. If you're a lawyer at this point defending your administration, you're not only that, but you're whatever the legal equivalent is to the Uncle Tom word or whatever. Because you're like Trump is literally hunting people in your profession with executive orders in ways that have never been done in all of U.S. history. So to still defend it at that point is just deplorable. Although these guys, to be fair, aren't lawyers; they're influencers, which is fundamentally a different thing. So.
Has anyone ever vetted if that guy's actually a lawyer or not?
I'm sure that they have a law degree. I've never checked into it, but I don't doubt that they have a law degree.
They're YouTubers
you can have a law degree.
That's the most important thing, okay, is to defend your influencer political ideology.
Okay. Well, how about you, Cullen? Do you have anything to say? Otherwise, we're going to cycle out and maybe get
I guess as a rhetorical question, how do you... I'm gonna keep it real. It was incredibly frustrating to see the people who support the grab him by the pussy Jan 6 guy try to lecture everybody about stability and respect. How do you not have a stroke doing that? Genuinely, because I don't understand how you have the patience for that.
Oh, listening to it? I mean, it's been happening for 10 years. I'm kind of numb to it.
That's true.
Yeah, and you just scream at them. Take your frustration out. Feels better.
Yeah.
I don't
in
know.
everyday life too, not just online.
I don't know if that's the right move, but thank you for calling in, gentlemen. So
Wiki may have picked people to defend a position and person so stupid that even your audience couldn't possibly come in here and have contentions.
What do you mean, my audience? What are you trying to say, sir?
Look, sometimes you get some chats, all right? I'm just saying. I've been in your chat before.
Will we have anyone with a contention or question for Mr. Destiny and Mr. Soy Pill? That's the question.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
I guess since it's my original thing was more of a question or a statement for the other two debaters, so this will serve more as kind of like a critique of the response. The big thing they keep bringing up, I think the core crux of this seditious six thing is, saying that it's going to cause the troops or whatever to question orders. I think it's extremely important. So I'm in the military. I'm not in the Coast Guard, and we do security. Force protection security in the United States. We get briefed on use of force every year, multiple times a year. The CJCSI 3121.01 Bravo I would just take a cursory look through that. It clearly defines the parameters of our use of force. Any person that even is just a lowly sentry, or like someone myself that has qualified for weapons release authority, we're required to know that instruction. We're required to know, the parameters for using use of force.
Gotcha,
If
yep.
we go so far as firing a weapon and not even killing someone, but just firing our weapon in the general direction of someone, or doing any of the escalations up to that, we get investigated. We have to know without, just referring to that document. We have to know it.
Gotcha.
It's a very straightforward document. I recommend just taking a cursory glance at it. It's very straightforward.
Okay. Anyone else? What do you got for us, Mr. O?
Yeah, Wick, I got some beef with you. So do you think with this we're finally at the point when it comes to the next administration, when Democrats sweep, that we can start prosecuting all these motherfuckers despite them having this fear?
So just to be clear, I think that Hegseth should be investigated, and if the investigation turns up what the report says, he should face jail time. He should be put in front of a court-martialed, stripped of his authority, and put into a jail cell for either war crimes or murder, depending on if they decide whether or not these goons were these narco guys were combatant or things like that.
And everyone involved with this, right? Like all the way to Trump.
Hold on, just real quick, please. My argument was never don't do anything, right? My argument is when we want to bar random Republicans from office simply for supporting the president, I don't think that that's a standard we should have. We should keep to the standards where we can convict, indict, and prove malfeasance, such as with Hegseth here, if the investigation turns out what we want.
Okay, and all like military structure that was involved with the strike as well.
Yeah,
right?
everyone who followed those orders should be indicted and tried as well. Yes.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Hazel?
Was that in regards to your should we Nuremberg trials debate?
Yes, that was a response to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't prosecute most of the Wehrmacht, but they got a lot of them.
Well, I actually wanted to sort of have a continuation of that argument, but not in the same way.
We're gonna cycle out, okay, because we want people with issues with Destiny and Soy Pill if we can, and hopefully we'll get some people. But thank you for coming in, and I appreciate you both.
Yeah, no Donald Trump was right, Wick. I'm tired of winning. I'm tired of being right. We need some contention in here.
Oh, hello. Oh, snap.
Okay, you are alive. What do you got for us? Anything for Soy Pill or Destiny?
I'm. Somebody else can go. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. This is to Destiny and the Soy Pill. Hi, how's it going, guys?
Hi.
I think that in principle, the National Guard has been deployed currently. I think you're absolutely right. It is unlawful. But I feel that philosophically, when we do have times of civil unrest, that deploying the National Guard to aid law enforcement is actually not only justifiable, but actually the right thing to do. I think that the time that they did it, though, would have been for the BLM riots, where we've deployed the National Guard and even the military in times of riots, like we did in LA and before that. So I think that in principle, deploying the National Guard is okay, but where do you see the line where deploying the National Guard is unacceptable?
I feel like if there was if there was a massive meteor coming to Earth, I think it'd be okay to take a group of oil drillers and have them train astronauts to help them fly a spaceship to blow the asteroid up. But that's not even remotely the situation we're in, so I don't even know what the relevance is. Whatever the relevance might be to some massive period of civil unrest. You said BLM, maybe, but right now it's just Donald Trump throwing a temper tantrum. There was no claims of mass unrest. You saw Kristi Noem trying to take pictures or videos on top of a roof to show how horrible the protests were, and it was like 7 dudes with cameras and then one dude in a dinosaur outfit. Like it's just whatever that thing might be, not only are we not at that point, none of the governors even claimed they were at that point. Nobody was requesting help from the National Guard, and these National Guards weren't here to assist local state police. They were there to help the federal police carry out Donald Trump's federal agenda, which at some point stood in opposition to the state governors. Like, I could think of no greater constitutional violation of the foundational principle of things like the Second Amendment or the foundation of this constitutional republic where there is one federal government than the federal government coming in with not just federal police, but the federal military to usurp the authority of the state governors. That's just unconscionable if you feel, or unconscionable or whatever, if you're like a federalist kind of person who thinks that there's a separation between federal and state government.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I could draw the line either, but the point is that a bunch of these governors are saying, actually, no, we don't want this. A bunch of the attorney generals are saying, this is unlawful, we don't need this. You can see that they're in D.C. picking up trash. They're declaring that the crime was already at like a 30-year low. So this was far beyond the pale of definitely not necessary. And maybe there obviously are cases, but maybe BLM, but like even more extreme, like, hey, there's like a big, like, once in a lifetime riot that is destroying the city. Yeah, of course there are situations where you need to deploy the National Guard. But that said, it would be easier to train astronauts to drill than it would be to train drillers to be astronauts, so that would be stupid.
Right. But I'm not saying that the current National Guard deployment is okay. I'm just trying to establish where you guys think that the line is.
Where the line already is. In times of massive unrest where like the literally local law enforcement is incapable of carrying out their jobs and the mayors or the governors are requesting assistance, that's how it's worked historically. And then the National Guard is deployed and given federal resources sometimes to help. I think as it's written right now and as it's gone historically, it's fine.
But we've had parts of American history where the president where the executive has deployed the National Guard and the U.S. military against the orders or against the wishes of the mayors, local officials, and governors.
For when?
Yes. When Eisenhower deployed the 101st Airborne to, was it Little Rock, Arkansas, to prevent when the governor, I think his name was Orville Faubus, said that he would never follow or allow integration to take place in the state of Arkansas.
Sure, but that was when the state explicitly stated that it was going to contravene what was federal law. That's a valid insurrection, essentially, activity where you can deploy the National Guard for these purposes, right?
Well, I think that maybe I don't know if it was an insurrection because the governor said that he would not. I don't think it was national law at the time. I think it was a court order. Forgive me, I'm kind of on the spot right now.
Sure.
But I think it was following Brown v. the Board of Education ruling.
Yeah.
And the governor said that he wasn't going to implement that ruling.
Yeah, but federal law supersedes state law here. If you're literally explicitly saying that like you're not going to follow what is the federal law, then I mean that's a legitimate thing. Yeah.
There is a bit of a gray area with Brown v. the Board of Education because the court's ruling said that they must integrate with all deliberate speed, meaning essentially that they could integrate at their own timetable. So up until then, the governor hadn't necessarily violated federal law just by saying that he wouldn't do it.
Sure. I mean, you could argue that there might be some edge case here, but like the principle here is not like molested at all. Like the principle, it remains, right? The question would be whether or not he was genuinely planning on enforcing that particular court order or if he was planning on contravening federal law forever, right?
Finish your point, but I want to make sure the other two get in before we
I'm just not sure that the reasonable we have like a reasonable standard for what we're doing when we're opposing the deployment of the National Guard. I think right now this is an easy thing to say that Donald Trump has exceeded that just by how fucking retarded and unhinged he is, and how inept he is by just not even trying to hide it. So I think that while I agree with both Soypill and Destiny in your opinions here, I'm not exactly sure where we as Democrats should be drawing the line based on historical premises and
it might be edge cases, but like the fact that you have to go back like 80 years to cite a case or whatever, or to cite an instance of this, like generally speaking, I'm okay having that debate. Like if it was the case, for instance, that ICE was trying to deploy or that ICE was trying to get some illegal immigrants out of California and like California police or whatever were contravening or something like this was going on, then it's like, okay, well, you're on an area where, you can kind of justify it. But Donald Trump is literally just deploying these National Guards and sometimes military for law enforcement.
Just real quick. Yeah, just to Destiny real quick. We do have an example where Biden could have called up the National Guard or used federal forces to countervene a state's order. There was an incident with
bring up
the governor of
Texas.
Texas at
Oh,
the
God.
border,
No.
right? That was recently, right?
I think it's a different.
They were.
Or sorry, go ahead.
No. Just to explain the situation, right? Where there was some orders about how to conduct border regulation, and there was a disagreement between the state and the federal officials. And Biden, there was some talk of Biden sending in federal troops. Do you think that would have been an appropriate time if the governor of Texas had been like, "No, we are not going to comply with this"? Would you have advocated that Biden send in those federal troops to enforce it?
If I would have said no, it would have been like on political consideration grounds, not like legal grounds. That would be an example where the president of the federal government has the control over the border, over immigration. That's the purview of the federal government. If a state is trying to enact something that goes against what the federal government does, the state does not have the authority to do that. That would be a legitimate use of federal force, right?
Okay, but
So then-
how would that apply to immigration if a state or the federal government sets the statutes and the laws around immigration?
Mm-hmm.
So if a state isn't enforcing immigration laws, federal immigration laws, does not the federal government have the authority to enact federal troops or federalized troops?
So the
in order to make
states,
sure that
so
laws
states can
take-
cooperate with the federal government if they want related to immigration, but the state does not have an obligation to do any kind of immigration enforcement on behalf of the federal government. That's the federal government stuff. Now the state can cooperate if they want, or they can do things. Some states are really excited to, but they don't have like that legal obligation doesn't exist for the state to do that. That's why things like sanctuary cities can exist if they want. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, so then is the opposition primarily political, or is it legal in nature for you and the soy pill?
For the Trump stuff, it's legal and political. Yeah, Trump is doing it illegally, I think. I would have to recheck that executive order on. Did he declare it an insurrection or whatever? I would have to go back and check that.
I think that's how we justified when, at least in LA, for the deployment of the National Guard, right?
I'm not sure exactly. I think
I do want to. Yeah, I do want to give a
reasoning.
chance to the other callers. Raziel, and what was your name? Why? If you have anything, now's the time. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, so my question was going to be more of probably a boring one because it's kind of logistical. One of the issues that's been brought up is that the Trump admin keeps, like, the only recourse we have right now that I can see, correct me if I'm wrong, is the court saying you shouldn't have done this bad thing. Stop doing this bad thing. And Destiny, I think, argued in another panel that can't be enough, right? Like the punishment for breaking the law can't be being told to stop breaking the law. But I don't know if I just don't understand civics, because I'm trying to look at it with a runaway executive. Is there any other real recourse we have right now to stop him, since
the executive's not supposed to break the law? That's our recourse. That's it. There is no other. That's why it's called a constitutional crisis. If he is, you're fucked. That's why it's called a constitutional crisis. If the cops are breaking the law, the only people you can call in are the next biggest cops. That's it. Or you have a revolution or a rebellion.
And I guess there's no next biggest cop. So let's say we get Democrat in office, or we win midterms, which Wick's saying is a foregone conclusion, and we win 2028. We have Democrats. What legislation do we do? Do we try to fix it to make it to where that's not a thing anymore, or do we just have to? Is our system just developed to where we just have to hope and pray that another Donald Trump happens? Because I don't have that hope. Because I don't think, not to get into the Nuremberg argument, but I don't think anyone's learned their lesson. I don't think. I know he's unpopular in the polls.
There's no legal thing that we're going to change. It's like, oh, now they're going to follow it. They're clear they don't give a shit. They're going to do whatever they want. So you either have to show there are consequences to this, or they're just going to do it again, no matter what new law you put in place.
Okay, so there's no hope that we can't like. It's just we have to hope that we never get another executive like this.
Imagine you have a doctor that's killing patients by stabbing them to death during surgery. What you're asking is is there a way that we can give doctors knives that won't actually cut through people's skin? It's not possible to do. The nature of the job of a surgeon is to make incisions and to cut into people's bodies. You just hope they're not murdering people while they're doing it. If they start murdering people while they're doing it, then the job of the doctor to prevent them from being able to do that necessarily prevents the ability of the surgeon to do surgery. The executive has to be able to carry out law enforcement, which involves a use of force, which involves policing powers and everything else. Like there's nothing above that. Nobody can say anything to the police. The police are the ones that enforce the law. If they decide to break that obligation, then you're fucked, right?
Okay.
Also, I want to clarify real quick before anyone asks. He didn't invoke the Insurrection Act. He floated the idea, but he, didn't need.
Yeah,
to.
I don't know what he declares or not. Like, I think he thinks he can just say it and it counts. Like on Twitter, he can just make random declarations through truths, and that's how it works.
For this,
I don't know.
at least he said, "Oh, I haven't needed to yet. It's been working so far.
Oh, okay.
We'll see." And he may or may not try to do it to challenge any courts, like the one that
Sure.
says, "Hey, you're not allowed to do that here." And the insurrection being that big balls got beat up. Whatever.
Okay.
Lest we forget, that is the inciting incident of where they decided to federalize the National Guard in D.C. is because Big Balls was beat up by 3 to 12 children, and it was a bad enough incident that this.
Who's
was the
Big Ball?
inciting
I'm sorry, I'm out of the loop on that. Is Big Balls
Big
a
Balls?
cat or something?
You don't know who Big Balls is?
No, I'm guessing
Ask
it's
your
like.
wife. Okay. No. Let's give it to Dev here. Dev, you're here. What do you got?
Hi. That was a fun shit show as everyone fucking
Was
ran
it?
away from the debate. Holy fuck. I can't believe that one guy dipped out 10 minutes early.
He
Like,
thought
or
it was
10
just going to
minutes
be
in.
him steamrolling with his fancy little fucking job title.
Right. So I have a few notes here. With regards to the desegregation thing that somebody here mentioned, the truth of that situation was that the Arkansas governor wanted to prevent black students from attending white schools, and he used the National Guard to stop them from doing so. And then Eisenhower basically took the National Guard out of his hands because he was defying a court order.
Oh,
basically.
damn. Okay.
So that's how that went down. And really,
Am I crazy, Dev? Was the Air Force involved in this as well, or is it just the National Guard?
it was the 101st Airborne Division of the National Guard.
Okay, that's where I thought it from. Thank you.
Yep. So I think the governor wanted a 2.5-year stay before he had to implement it for some local political reason. He didn't get that stay. He brought in the National Guard. He had the National Guard taken away from him. So that's kind of why that happened. Also, I know this point's more about the previous debate, Wick, the whole denazification debate. But
go for it.
I think that the real black pill is that the denazification Nuremberg stuff really didn't work historically. Like if you look back at no, it didn't. If you look back at the state of West Germany after the Second World War, the trials of Nazi officials didn't make the West German people be like, oh, I guess we were wrong. No, they just view it as like victor's justice. They thought, oh, we're just being persecuted by the Allies again. What really helped out West Germany in the decades after was economic prosperity. Like things just got better for the middle class, and there was a middle class again.
Wait, Dev, as someone who with like an extensive German background, you were like being super ahistorical. Like there is a persistent cultural anti-Nazi sentiment that has been drilled into their heads for 70 years. They are allergic. They literally take every single high schooler and mandatorily show them Holocaust camps. Like this is not like it's just because things got better. Yes,
I'm German, by the way.
Oh yeah, please. I'm sure you could actually speak.
This is all true too.
This was not just economic. Like this was very much a cultural push to denazify. And yeah, it didn't work completely. You still have the AfD there, but like it absolutely came from a huge top-down cultural influence. Like this was not just money.
So this is all true. Yeah. When I looked into this in preparation for the last Wick panel, I never ended up using any of this. What I found is that like the middle-aged Germans of the time were overwhelmingly not convinced by the outcomes of the Nuremberg trials. That didn't make them denazify whatsoever. What helped them was, one, seeing pictures from the camps, and two, economic prosperity as time went on. And then after, a generation rotates out, there's a new generation of people come in, they were much more anti-Nazi than the previous ones. So everything you're saying is true, but it didn't apply for like the first decade after the war.
Yeah, that just isn't that it just taking time, right? Like, isn't that the
No, yeah. But here's the thing: if you want to do some sort of like demagnification of America, you are going to have to deal with a decade or two of people just not tolerating it. You're in for a rough time, basically.
Okay. Fair enough. To the other folks that I just brought on, Tune and Test, did you have anything? Tune, you've been on here before. Hold on. Sorry. I didn't mean to bring you on twice. But do you have anything?
Oh, wait, no, it's my first time. What do you mean it's my first time?
I recognize the icon, okay?
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
Yeah, sorry.
I actually have a question.
Go
if
ahead.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, sorry, it's pretty late for me, but about how we go on with this stuff, like it's not very unlikely that Trump in the end just pardons everyone, and I have a suggestion as to how we somehow get justice and still get the media environment to shift, which is like one of the most important things. And my suggestion would be to, when the next Democratic administration comes into office, basically not do show trials, but get everyone from this administration in front of Congress, put them under oath, and hope basically that you trap them in some lie, or that you can demonstrate that either their actions were extremely wrong and you basically put all the cameras you can find on them and show the world that how evil they actually are, or they lie and they can be tried for perjury, and then you just have to create a new law that you can't give felons positions in Congress.
Basically, just exposing. Yeah, that's not bad. Publicize just how bad it is. I think a bunch of these people are ignorant. I don't know if the lawyer guy was genuinely lying about not knowing what the crimes of January 6th were, but if he wasn't, yeah, maybe he would change his mind if presented with this. I couldn't.
Well, the fact that he brought out Enrique Tarrio's name without any of us saying it, but didn't seem to know, that's crazy.
Well, to be fair, though, a lot of these people do kind of exist in an alternate reality. Like, Destiny, if you think back to a year ago and the Artemis Maglocks debate, he genuinely believed that shit. And it was all nonsense.
Sure, but if you're lacking that much, wherewithal, at some point it becomes inexcusable, right? Like, it goes from negligent to recklessness if you're just so fucking willfully ignorant. You should know better. These guys should know better.
But do you remember, the first few weeks in this Trump administration, when all the cabinet members got their time in front of Congress, where they had to do all this shit, and they could do whatever they want. They could spread their propaganda basically on almost every news channel.
Yeah.
And I think it would be awesome to just do the same. Get every news channel you can find, every news agency you can find into Congress for these meetings, and just publish everything you can find and see where you can trap them.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, this is why I like the idea of trials, because you get all the information out there too. But if there's some way to do it without it, I mean, that would work too, yeah.
But you had to do it with cameras, right?
Yeah, of course.
A little naivety from the German who has a populace of people that actually listen to things, at least more than 25% of the population. So you're expecting a lot from the American people to, one, even tune into this and know what's happening, and two, potentially changing their minds once presented with evidence. I think it might be idealistic. Not to shit on your idea, because it is a good idea. It's just not maybe for this country because we're so stupid.
Well,
okay,
I think even if the... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, and then I want to hear from Q. Go ahead, finish your point, and then Q can go.
Yeah, okay. I think even if the viewers are from Fox and they are presented with obvious lies, I think there is a threshold at which they just can't keep on the lies, right? It's basically not possible if there's too much pressure. But that's it from me.
Okay.
Bye.
You got anything for us, Q?
I'll be honest, I didn't actually think I'd make it in here, but I guess I did have one thing that I wanted to mention, and is that I'm actually from Washington, D.C. I'm in Washington, D.C. right now. I've lived in Washington, D.C. my whole life, And I'm not sure if everyday people know this, but at least in southeast of Washington, D.C., that is where the bad neighborhoods are considered to be at. I've witnessed hit and runs there. I've been jumped there. I've gotten into fights there. It was a low-income area, and you can actually still see the Capitol building from across the pond over there. But I guess my actual question is, how does the, like, shooting do you think affect like the everyday people like in DC? Because it's been interesting watching
the National Guard shooting specifically, or shooting in general.
Well, I guess I don't know. I guess the shooting in general, because like I've been in DC all my life. I see shootings all the time, but I just really don't feel like this particular shooting has impacted my life significantly in any way. And I don't know. It feels a little interesting watching so many people politicize it, I suppose.
Yeah, I imagine daily, day to day, it probably doesn't have much of an impact locally. But I mean, nationally, it's obviously it's a story because Trump wants it to be a story, and this whole thing about the National Guard and deploying them everywhere and crime being rampant is like a huge story that the admin wants. So nationally, it's a huge story.
It almost feels a little too convenient. Do you think maybe
just real quick, like it's obviously going to be a national story when a National Guard gets shot, because this is kind of like an unprecedented deployment and an unprecedented event. I don't think the previous times we've had National Guard deployed to various states, I can't think of a time any of them have been shot.
I'm sure there's been times, we just don't know because the spotlight is on this right now, right? Well, and they're not normally out for law enforcement purposes too, but
yeah, just of course, like I'm just pushing back against that a little bit, because of course this was going to be a national story. There's no way it can't be a national story, right? But
Fuck you. I guess I don't have anything else to say.
Thank you for coming.
I got a question for you, actually. I got a question for you, just real quick. So where you don't have to say exactly, but like where approximately do you live in DC if you had to point it out on the map of Fallout 3?
Oh, do you mean like the wards?
Shit, you didn't play Fallout 3? Never mind. Don't worry about it.
Got him.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on, man.
Wait, real quick, I want to personally thank you because you drew art for me last night. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, I did. And type 1 in the deep state. Sorry, I really wanted to do that.
All right. I love you too. Also, I'm going to leave. Be careful, Wick. Be careful, Soy Pill. Thanks.
Actually, no, wait. Here.
Yeah.
I do actually have an actual question for the two of you that's actually related to this debate, okay?
Okay.
So, just real quick, I'll be like 30 seconds. Do you guys know why he kept saying that Nancy Pelosi was in charge?
Yes, because there used to be some stupid conspiracy theory about how like the sergeant at arms answers to the Speaker of the House, and the sergeant at arms is the same thing as actually all the Capitol Police or all that. It's a stupid fucking thing about who had the actual authority, because at the time people realized, oh man, it's fucked that nobody showed up here. So immediately they started looking for other people to blame. Initially it was Bowser, who they claimed Trump wanted to deploy 10,000 people, and she explicitly said no. And then they eventually got to this weird like order of commands for who owns like who the Capitol Police, or not the Capitol Police, the guardsmen or whatever in the fucking Capitol take orders from it. I think the Speaker of the House might have been one of the answers they wound up with.
Yeah, because this is actually this was in my J6 video, was that there's
the only J6 video that's been out. Go ahead.
No, not true. Thomas,
there's
Steen
only
made
one.
a really good one.
Not 1,000 of them out on the internet, but yeah, go ahead.
But basically, this is another one of those like Maglocks type conspiracies where they latch onto it and recreate it and reproduce it on social media over and over and over till it just becomes what's true, even though it's not true. The actual truth of it is that the Capitol Police inside the building are run by a 3-person committee. One of them is the Sergeant at Arms of the House, who is appointed by the Speaker, but isn't controlled by the Speaker. So even then, like, blaming Nancy Pelosi makes no fucking sense, because it's 3 people are in charge of this thing, and they don't answer to Nancy Pelosi. It's
sure. It's such a stupid conspiracy. It's like so like one, like, do you think the Speaker of the House has control over all of the Capitol Police or all the National Guard or possible deployment of the National Guard? Like where, like the National Guard in DC is part of the military chain of command, which goes all the way up to Trump. Like I don't know where the fuck the Speaker of the House would even be in that, unless you kill, however many people need to 2 or 3 or whatever to make them the fucking president of the United States. And then secondly, what even is the conspiracy here? Are we saying that like Pelosi could have asked for help but chose not to, or she was intentionally making it so they were less...
No, that is the conspiracy, right? That they wanted to make Trump look bad, and so they wanted this kind of incident to occur right? This is why
it's
they
part of the
also
double
say that
speak,
they-
though, Wick, right?
that
Because remember the
that,
week after it happened, everyone was like, "Oh, thank God, we fucking did it. That's how you do an insurrection." And then it comes out later, this is horrible, and it's like, actually, it wasn't that bad, and they were let in by everyone. So
Mhm.
the Nancy Pelosi thing is completely contradictory to the thing of, "Hey, this was like our attempt to do this." It's like, actually, it wasn't a big deal, but it was a big enough deal that Nancy Pelosi should have sent the National Guard in, but she didn't because she wanted to make it look worse. But it also wasn't a big deal because we just let them in. It's like a complete like 1984 speak.
Yeah, it was
The
so
best
fucking
part about it is
horrible.
that
It's-
all their tweets are still online. Too.
Yeah,
You can see
true.
all their tweets of them being, "It's a revolution, yes," and it's like, come on, guys, at least delete that shit.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming, gang. If you like the stream for whatever reason, hit that like.
Oh, all right. Well, I love you guys. Stay safe. Thanks for having me. Be careful.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I hate these people. Oh my God. My brain wants to explode when they would never, ever, ever make these arguments or accept these arguments for a Democratic president. And I said at the beginning, I'm going to say at the beginning of all my conversations, they will always talk about what Democrats ought to do, but they'll always talk about like the outer perimeter of what Trump possibly, hypothetically, legally can do. And it's the same answer. Like, well, it's not illegal for him to do it. It's, oh my God, it's so cringe. And then, also, by the way, if you want like a fucking legal shortcut for all international law, all you have to do is read like international humanitarian law. It's going to apply to every country. Now, some clever fucking retard might say, well, actually, the United States of America doesn't actually have to follow that because we're not part of the ICC, blah, blah, blah. While that is true, and it's the same for Israel, every single country that is like not part of that Rome statute, they all have their own internal laws that basically map on one-to-one with most international law. Israel does, the United States does. That's why you can find things in our military manuals that more or less correspond to an understanding of what you would be under if you follow the everything in the ICC anyway. So, but okay. You guys have been fun. I'll be back tomorrow. Let me do a fucking